What's up, San Diego?
San Diego, turn it up. From the dugout to the sidelines, from the front office to the fan in the stands, this is where San Diego sports comes to be heard.
College athletics is the gift that keeps on giving. This is why I love this stuff.
He's not just talking about the game, he's driving the conversation, breaking it down, calling it out, and saying what everyone else won't.
They start licking their chops, man, when they hear like, oh, look at all these guys the Padres could potentially trade.
This is the voice San Diego sports trusts on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
We're your favorite show.
This is the Braden Surprenant Show.
Think about the children, the family show.
Now, here's Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Monday to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Will be taking up to 2 o'clock today, and Gwen and Chris before a earlier Padres game, with the Padres being down in Atlanta to start a 4-game series against the Braves, hopefully to continue their success against the Atlanta Braves after what was arguably a very tough weekend for San Diego against Kansas City. Friday night was a arguably one of the worst losses you can have on a season, and that's why I even forget what loss it was. But the Padres have had some bad losses this year, and you know what? They're going to have bad losses next year, and they're going to have bad losses the year after that. Everybody's got bad losses. But I remember when they had a bad loss earlier in the season, I said, this is the worst loss so far, because you never know in a baseball season how many bad losses you can have out there. And Friday, arguably one of the worst that they have had all season. Considering the timing of where they're at this season, Friday is one of the worst losses you can ever have. You already got off to a slow start against Kansas City, who is the worst team in Major League Baseball. That team is awful. They are awful. I guess you could blame Frank Marchese a little bit on the Lane Thomas explosion, because he said, oh, that's a guy you should probably trade for. He's pretty good. Lane Thomas kicked your ass all weekend long. But on Friday, that is a game that you come back, you get the 2-out game-tying home run by Ty France. You put up 3 runs in the top half of the 10th inning. You need 3 outs to get out of there without allowing 4 runs, and you give up 4 runs and lose to the worst team in Major League Baseball. The worst. They are the worst team in baseball. Tied with the Angels, who are arguably even worse, it seems like. The worst team. I mean, what a heartbreaking loss. Saturday, I mean, they just flat out beat your ass for 9 innings. And then yesterday, hey, 19 runs. That's great. Yeah, 19 runs. Woo. Yeah. Finally, a game in which you had a laugher, a real laugher. They finally scored more than 10 runs for the first time all season. And we'll talk about the good of yesterday in a second. But Friday night, I mean, how many times have you seen? Let's flip Friday night. Let's say that's a home game, and the Royals put up 3 runs at the top of the 10th. Does anybody believe the Padres were putting up 4 in the bottom half? How do you think that inning ends? And the Padres offense is way better than the Royals offense. That would have been like maybe 1 run on a sac fly to get the 2nd out, and there's nobody on base with 2 outs, and now you're down, 2 runs or whatever it was, or 3 runs or whatever. You'd be down 2 runs, and then the next guy would strike out. That'd be all she wrote. But the Royals put up 4 runs. I mean, I went back and, I know you have to, you look at it from a hindsight perspective. It's a lot easier. But I know a lot of people were talking about, like, Kyle, why would you put Kyle Hart there? It's not like they had a lot of options at the time. I mean, you already used Mason Miller, who almost cost the game in his outing, loaded the bases with nobody out. Now, a lot of it was weak contact. But anyway, he was able to overcome that. That really showed how valuable he is as a pitcher. Bases loaded, nobody out. All the Royals need to do is hit a sac fly, and they win the game. Punch out, punch out, punch out. Set you up for a 10th. You already used Morejon, used Miller. You can't use Estrada. He's hurt. You can't use Jason Adam. He's hurt. I mean, you're running pretty low on the list of guys you're able to use after players you had already used. I don't know why they didn't use Yuki Matsui. I guess obviously you needed him the next couple of days, but I don't necessarily like Kyle Hart in that situation. I thought that was maybe one of the bigger, I would say, blunders of Craig Stammen's managerial career so far, but not necessarily a decision that you would like too much. But I will say, I mean, Kyle Hart's one of those guys who's like long relief guy with a 3-run lead. He should be able to get the 3 outs. I know they're trying to preserve as much of the bullpen as possible. I didn't think they had too many options out there, but Friday's loss was as bad as it could be. Saturday, didn't really respond. Lost 6-1 on Saturday. It wasn't that great of a performance. We're going to talk about, the article that Kevin Acee had in his daily newsletter about Craig Stammen in particular. But this weekend was arguably the most maddening sequence of 2026 because they dropped 2 very winnable games to Kansas City, which we have seen time and time again this year. And then they had a 19-2 offensive explosion on Sunday. I mean, that wasn't just a blowout. I mean, that was a glaring reminder of what this roster can do and why this roster remains the ultimate enigma in Major League Baseball. I mean, they will put up 19 runs, and then they'll have like 2 or 3 games in a row where they don't put up a single run, or they put up like 1 run. They battle against teams that they battle against pitchers that are just terrible. But they began the road trip trailing 3.5 games in the hunt for October, and despite losing 2 out of 3 and having a losing record at 49-50, I texted Frank this yesterday. I looked at the standings again because you know what? After a couple of bad losses, I'm like, I don't want it. Do I even need to look at what happened? I did. After they won, you feel a little bit more confident. Start seeing some of the scores around baseball. Like, maybe they're kind of hanging around. They actually picked up a game this weekend despite losing 2 out of 3 because the Marlins got swept in Milwaukee. And Arizona took 2 out of 3 from St. Louis. I mean, thank you, Miami, for losing 6 straight games to put you back in this race because they're mathematically alive. They're 2.5 games out of a wild card spot. But the consistency is non-existent. And manager Craig Stammen said it yesterday. He hit the nail on the head, I thought, admitting the club is currently trying to piece this season together. That's exactly what they look like. They look like they're trying to piece this season together. The recurring nightmare of this team, though, that I have seen, and you have seen, and Frank has seen, and the morning show has seen, and the afternoon show has seen, the recurring nightmare of this season is you will have a game like yesterday, 19 runs against the worst team in baseball. And then the next 2 days, they'll take 2 steps back and get absolutely shut down by a starting pitcher that has no business shutting you down. So I thought yesterday was great. You got to see the bats come alive. You got to see Fernando hit home runs in back-to-back games. He has found his power stroke, it looks like. Again, Jackson Merrill homered yesterday. The offense was just clicking all over the place. That's great. That's great news. And I would love to sit here and be able to tell you that's the type of win that's going to get you on track. But I can't say that today. And I can't say that today because I've already said it 3 or 4 times. And has it ever gotten them back on track, Frank? No, it hasn't. That's been this team all season long. So until they use a 19-2 victory over one of the worst teams in baseball, and it propels them into a winning streak where they maybe kick the Braves' ass for 3 out of 4 days in the next 4 games, which I don't even know, based on the pitching matchups, I don't know how you could think that was going to happen. And unless that leads you into winning like 10 of your next 12 or 13 out of the next like 16 or 17, This just looks like exactly the same team that we've seen all season long. And here's what's going to be frustrating about this team if they don't make the playoffs and they come up just short. If they come up just short of making the playoffs, these offensive numbers are all going to start to regress back to the mean, and they're going to pull the back of the baseball card back out. It might be slightly a little bit less than you usually see, but it's going to see a little bit more consistent on the stats. And we saw that in 2023. So I thought yesterday was a great win. I don't want to take anything away from yesterday's game. I thought yesterday was the way that this offense can play at a high level. It shows you the investments of why they paid these guys what they paid them. It shows you what this team is capable of doing. Despite injuries, despite a lot of other things not going the Padres' way, yesterday showed the team that they could potentially be. But Frank, as I bring you in to talk about this weekend, that means nothing if you lose the next two in Atlanta and it just sets yourself back again. You are blessed that you picked up a game this weekend despite playing one of the worst teams in baseball and losing 2 out of 3. It's amazing that they picked up a game. And again, until they start winning consistently off of a big day like today or like yesterday, it's hard for me to say like they're about to rip off 10 to 15 games and look really good in their next 15 games.
Yeah, if you go 5-2, 6-1, or by the grace of God, 7-0 against Atlanta and Miami, this series this weekend becomes a footnote because a lot of the excuses that you want to use, it's an American League team, it doesn't really matter, you beat the teams that did matter. You can't really use that excuse right now. And I'd actually argue that Saturday's loss is a little bit worse than Friday's. Friday's loss is bad. It was really, really bad. But Saturday, you come out off of that loss, that ridiculous loss. And again, it's not like you put up a stick in extra innings. You put up 3 in extra innings. That game should have been over. And it's not like they beat you in the 12th inning. They beat you in the 10th. You come back on Saturday and immediately give up 2 runs. Fernando hits the home run in the 3rd inning. Great. And then how do you respond after that to cut the lead to 2-1? How do you respond after that? You give up runs in the bottom of the 3rd and in the 4th inning also. So a game where you could have really said, all right, we really need to hunker down now. Yesterday was embarrassing. That's an awful loss. Now we need to kick it into gear. You go down 2-0 in the 1st inning and then immediately give up a run after responding. That to me is worse than what happened on Friday and then yesterday happened. So it kind of deadens the pain from the weekend a little bit to put up 19 runs. A good amount of that was against Tyler Tolbert, but still, it's a 19-run outburst. Fernando has home runs in back-to-back games, which I think is the first time that's happened all season. Ty France plays hero all weekend long, tied the game in the 9th inning on Friday. It's 2 more home runs, including a grand slam yesterday. Jackson Merrill had 2 home runs yesterday. So yesterday does kind of deaden the pain, but I would argue that Saturday's loss might be a little bit worse than Friday.
Well, Saturday's loss stings because of the fact that you just couldn't shut the door. But like they beat you on Saturday. It's not you kind of hurt yourself on Friday.
In the context of what happened on Friday, though,
they just flat out beat you on Saturday. The disappointing part was they didn't show up ready to just completely kick somebody's ass after blowing it in the 10th inning. That's what makes Friday's loss difficult. You had it. You were ready to steal it from Kansas City. Now, I would imagine the Kansas City had a lot of bleeders leak through and stuff like that. And I thought Ben Higgins tweeted out perfectly on Friday night. He said, like, that's a game you laugh off if you had a better first half of the season. But the fact that you did not take care of business in the first half of the season, that game becomes soul crushing. And you have to be able to respond. They didn't respond on Saturday. And I don't know how many times you can keep rolling Griffin Canning out there. I really can't. I know you don't really have anything else. I mean, I can't sit here and be like, get rid of Griffin Canning without any options right after him, because you really don't have any options right now. But he has been a gigantic disappointment. I mean, he is having his career worst year right now in San Diego, and that's telling you because he had bad years in Anaheim. And you were just hoping he was like some of the player he was in New York for half of a season, but his performance on Saturday was not good. No. And it set you back. And then again, the Padres pitching staff for the last month or so, it feels like they haven't really been able to put up a zero after the offense scores a bunch of runs, except for yesterday when Yuki did it in the fifth inning, where they actually needed you to do that. I go back to Friday, too, about the decision to, Kyle Hart in the last inning. I mean, at that point, you still had Marinaccio on your team, but you look at your bullpen. I mean, this isn't the same bullpen you had at the beginning of the season. You don't have David Morgan. You don't have Jeremiah Estrada. You don't have Jason Adam. So as much it's like, I can't believe you threw Kyle Hart right there. Your options, I guess, were Kyle Hart, Yuki Matsui, or Wandy Peralta. Is that it? I guess Randy Vasquez. Could you imagine if the Padres threw Randy Vasquez in the 10th inning because he was going to get more bullpen reps and he blows the game in the 10th inning? Hey, welcome to the bullpen. Hang on to this win for us. I mean, that would be a circus. So you couldn't have used him. It was going to come down to Wandy Peralta, Yuki Matsui, or Kyle Hart. I mean, out of those options, it's not like you had a foregone option out there. Maybe Wandy Peralta? But if he was unavailable Friday, then it was down to Yuki and Kyle Hart. It's a 50-50 chance. And you got to think, I don't care who you have in your bullpen, but they're on your roster for a reason. So if they're on your roster, you kind of have to have the belief that they are going to be able to get out of a game with a 3-run lead in the 10th inning. You have to be able to believe that. If you don't, then they shouldn't be on your roster to begin with.
And another problem reared its ugly head, too, because Michael King, 97 pitches in the 5th inning. Griffin Canning can't get to the 4th. Can't get through the 4th. Marquez only throws 3 innings. That's another thing. You're having a bullpen game every single day because your starters can't pitch into the 6th inning.
I know. I mean, not even your good one, right? Like Michael King, 5 innings. 5 innings, 1 earned run, 4 hits. He gave up the home run. He had 4 strikeouts. But in those innings, he threw 97 pitches. It's not like he could go out there for another one.
B. Wilson, Johnny Brito's back in the minors.
No, he was talking about Friday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I forgot that they put Peralta on the bereavement list. And so Peralta's back now, and Brito's back in the minor leagues. So your options were basically Brito, Hart, and Matsui. Not a lot of options. And then here's the other thing, too. I think pitching Miller in the 9th inning was a smart decision.
Yes.
Because you have to get to the 10th inning. And based on the way that you had been playing in that game, there was no guarantee you were going to just throw up a 0 with any of those guys in the 9th. I as much as like the save situation conversation always rears its ugly head with closers, like they can't handle it. You know who can? A guy like Mason Miller. Mason Miller should be able to handle that. And he did. I mean, it got a little dicey there, but if the bases get loaded on any of the other pitchers that were available with nobody out, Royals are winning that game in the 9th inning. You don't have to worry about the 10th. At that point, you're talking about a 4-3 victory for the Royals instead of extra innings. So Friday was as frustrating of a loss as you can ever imagine. Saturday, the non-response and the pitchers being unable to throw up a 0 after your offense scores was incredibly frustrating. Yesterday, great to see it, but you need to see it more consistently if you want to make this a big deal. You're going to have to. I mean, I thought yesterday was fun. It was great. I was driving back from Palm Springs, and I was listening to the game, and it was great. It was fun to hear Jesse and Tony on the call and then put up a ton of runs, but they have to do that here in Atlanta. There's a lot to break down from this weekend. We're going to continue the conversation when we come back because we got to go to break. Just getting started on a Monday. The Braden Surprenant Show, Static Summer Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. 10:25 on a Monday. Getting started here on the Braden Surprenant Show, recapping a fun Sunday and a not as fun Friday and Saturday for the San Diego Padres here on the Braden Surprenant Show. Padres yesterday, big takeaway. They put up 19 runs. That was great. They got to show what they've been capable of doing all season. The problem is, Frank, we haven't seen them do that on a consistent basis.
Nope, absolutely not. It's been the most frustrating thing because this team does have the talent to be able to do that on a night in and night out basis. They have the talent to be right on the heels of the Dodgers, but instead, because of their inconsistency, it just does not come through this year.
Yeah, it changes nothing unless it starts a streak. I mean, the Padres scored 19 runs, something they've only done 6 previous times in franchise history, but obviously the story isn't the big offensive explosion. It's that everyone has seen this movie before. It has been blowout win, followed by offense disappears, win once, lose twice, never string together momentum. And Craig Stammen admitted along those lines yesterday in the press conference, there's no time for anything but revving it up again. The question isn't whether the Padres can score 19, obviously. It's whether they can score 6 tomorrow or 5 or maybe 4, which would be today, of course. And today we're going to preview the series against the Atlanta Braves in just a little bit later on in the show. But like today's matchup for starting pitching is JP Sears and Bryce Elder. JP Sears 2-2, the 5.03 ERA. Elder 5-6, the 4.12 ERA. I mean, JP Sears already beat Atlanta earlier this season. He allowed 2 runs over 5 2/3 innings. And Bryce Elder has been struggling badly. 11 ERA over his last 4 starts, 8 home runs allowed. He has a 9.82 ERA in 2 career starts versus the Padres. This is setting up for them to continue the 19-run success that they had yesterday. You were going against a guy today that has not done well against the Padres in his history. You're going against a guy today that has had an 11 ERA in his last 4 starts. It has allowed 8 home runs. Today's the day that you can rack up some runs. I mean, Frank, if they get shut down by Bryce Elder today, you could just chalk yesterday up to a fluke instead of talking about a real turning point of the season. And, we've seen the Red Sox do it with this hot streak that they've been on, playing themselves into playoff contention in an American League that, by the way, has no good teams in it. And you've seen some other teams go on these hot streaks. You would think that 19-2 would start you on one, but if you get shut down by a guy that has not been able to shut anybody down and has not been able to shut any Padres team down, you're going to be in real trouble again, and it's just going to be it's going to be the same story that we've seen the entire season in 2026.
Yeah, if you lay a dud tonight, that's a really, really bad omen for the rest of the season. As unfortunate as to say, a team that you've owned over the last couple of years, if you go out there and lay a dud tonight, there's going to be problems.
Now, that without all being said, at the end of the weekend, the Padres are actually less games out of a playoff spot than they were when they started the second half of the season, because St. Louis lost 2 out of 3 to Arizona. Miami has lost 6 straight dating back to the 3 games before the All-Star break. They just got swept by Milwaukee. Those are 2 teams in particular, Frank, that I personally have not been high on, that I think are going to fall apart in the second half. They have now built themselves a nice little cushion where they just need to kind of tread water. But with their schedules coming up and the way that they've been playing, those aren't scary teams to have to worry about. I look at Pittsburgh. They won yesterday, but they also didn't have that great of a weekend. Arizona won 2 games, but that's because they were playing a team in front of them in St. Louis, so it's kind of a wash when it comes to Arizona, who's 2 games in front of you now. And then the Nationals are a half game in front of you. They just beat up on the A's twice. But I look at the teams that are in front of you in the standings. Yes, you got to jump a lot of them. 1, you got a better schedule than all of them. And 2, there's not a lot of world beaters in those 4 teams that I mentioned, or those 5 teams that I mentioned. Throw Philly and Chicago out of it, because right now it just seems like they're way ahead. And we'll see what happens with Philly and Atlanta. But you have an opportunity here, Frank, with the Atlanta Braves, you could knock them back and have Philly pass, which helps you out because if you do that, you would have the tiebreaker over Atlanta. And all of a sudden, with some of the teams in front of you and who they have to play, this thing can change for the Padres like that with a good week in Atlanta. And it's not crazy to say that if they're 2.5 games out of a wild card spot.
Oh, correct. And if the Padres do, as I said in the open, if the Padres do go 5-2, 6-1 on this over these next 7 games, Kansas City will be a footnote. It'll be forgotten because again, the reality is they are in the American League. They don't really matter as far as the standings goes. They matter for individual games, but they don't really matter all that much. So if you could take care of business against the National League One and teams that you're fighting in the wild card too, that is going to completely eliminate anything that happened this week. You're going to forget about the Kansas City series except for the 19 runs. That's it. But that completely relies on how you perform in Atlanta and Miami.
And you're almost at a point now that I think it'd be better if the Phillies won the NL East than the Braves, right? Mm-hmm. And the Phillies are 3 games back from Atlanta. You could you can help them out a little bit by beating up on the Braves this week, which I don't know if you can or not. We'll talk about the Braves and where they're at. I mean, Acuna could show up this week because he's been on a rehab assignment, which definitely changes the dynamic a little bit. But if you look at the teams in front of you right now, you still have 3 games against Washington, who is in front of you. You still got to play Arizona 2 more times, who's in front of you. You're currently tied on the season series against Arizona. You have a lead on the Pirates, who you still play. You play the Miami Marlins 6 times, who are in front of you that you could potentially win tiebreakers on. And the only team that you have lost now the series to would be St. Louis. If Philly jumps Atlanta, you would have a season series win over the Atlanta Braves, and all of a sudden it's starting to flip back into the Padres' favor. That's how fast this thing can change and why they got to use yesterday to propel themselves on a little bit of a winning streak, because they're not in the situation that Boston was in, which was dire. But Boston winning 13 straight games has put themselves in a playoff spot. If the Padres win something crazy like that, which I'm not saying they will, nor do I would expect them to be able to do that, but if the Padres win like 8 games in a row, they all of a sudden are going to be flipped right into the conversation of not only being in the wild card, but even be in a position where you have a team below you in the wild card position. And all of a sudden you're in a way better spot that you were, about a couple of weeks ago. So that just shows you how fast this thing can flip. And when you start looking at the games today, the upcoming series, because now you got to start paying attention to this. I mean, you're in it now. Despite the fact that you lost 2 out of 3 to the Royals, you still picked up a game. I mean, you accomplished basically what you wanted to accomplish. Picking up a game in the standings over the weekend is huge. Would it have been better? Let me ask you this. What would it have been better if the Padres won 2 out of 3 but didn't gain a game in the standings?
If they won 2 out of 3?
They won 2 out of 3 but are 3.5 on Monday. They lose 2 out of 3 but they're 2.5 on Monday, which is what happened. At this point, aren't you more worried about where you are in the standings more so than anything else?
Yeah, there's certainly an argument to be made there for sure.
I mean, I'd rather be 2.5 games out today than 3.5 games out today. I mean, I think you'd feel a little bit better that you won 2 games, right? You took 2 out of 3. It's like you're doing your part, but you're at this point, you're trying to gain games in the standings. So today's schedule: Padres are in Atlanta. The Dodgers are playing Philly. You need Philly to win those games. I mean, sorry, actually, it doesn't really matter. That series is a wash because you're not going to catch the Dodgers anyway. And the way this thing goes, I kind of puts you in a position of whether or not you want Atlanta to win the division or Philly. I'd rather see Atlanta be in the wild card because at least you have the tiebreaker. But if you're worried about catching Philadelphia, then you hope they lose. But, they're 3 games back. I mean, there's a possibility that Philly can overtake the Braves this week if you do well and the Dodgers do well against Philly. If Philly does well against the Dodgers. I think that's kind of a wash at this point. Mets and Brewers. I think the Brewers are going to run away with the National League Central, so that game doesn't necessarily matter too much. Hopefully the Tigers could start turning things around because they got Chicago this week. That's a big one to look for. Can Houston figure it out? They got Miami this week. That's another one to pay attention to. You need some help from Colorado this week against Washington. We'll see how that plays out. The A's did you no favors against Washington earlier. They're going to take on the Diamondbacks this week, and the Cardinals have the Angels. So not too many favorable matchups this week for the Padres in terms of the wild card.
Right.
This week.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, interesting night for Craig Stammen over the weekend. Kevin Acee wrote about it. We'll talk about it next. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Summer Sports Station 97.3, The Fan. All right, let's talk more about what happens this weekend. What happened this weekend? And you know what? Yesterday was fine. Yesterday was a great performance by the Padres. They beat up on a team that's the worst team in baseball. They put up 19 runs. It was great to see. They got to be able to consistently put up numbers. The offense has been better in the last couple of months. A lot of it's because of the guys like Fernando Tatis Jr. that's continued to be outstanding. And here's the thing, like, it was good to see Fernando hit a couple of home runs this weekend, Frank. It was good to see him get his power stretch back. He looked really good. I look at the way that not only has he been playing, I know Manny's kind of cooled off a little bit as of late, but the offense is really starting to turn. And Fernando, since May 24th, is hitting .327 with 25 stolen bases, back-to-back home runs after the All-Star break, and his swing reportedly feels better. He acknowledged the power could be returning. Craig Stammen even suggested he doesn't mind this new version of Fernando, .330 hitter who steals bases and occasionally runs into a homer. Still only 7 home runs through 98 games, dramatically below expectations for one of baseball's premier power hitters. But you know what? If you're going to pick a time for Fernando to start heating up with the power, now is the time, Frank.
Yeah. You got your prediction right as well. You said, you said Manny was.
I thought Manny would hit a couple home runs. I'll take Fernando. That's kind of nice.
Seriously though, that's Fernando hitting 2 home runs in back-to-back games for the first time, what feels like all season, is absolutely fantastic. And for Fernando, hitting home runs can become secondary. That is okay for the type of player that Fernando is, especially when he gets on base. He's a loose cannon when he gets on base. I personally don't mind not seeing Fernando hit 50 home runs a year because he doesn't have to be that guy. No. He could be a leadoff hitter with occasional pop, and he wreaks havoc on the base paths.
Do you know what he did this weekend with the 2 home runs? He hit a third of Vlad Guerrero Jr.'s home runs for the season in one weekend.
There you go.
I mean, it's been a power struggle for a lot of guys. I mean, Vlad Guerrero Jr. gets paid to be a power hitter.
Yes.
Fernando does not. As much as people want to say that he was, because Chris says this on the afternoon show, it's like he gets paid to hit the ball with the fence. I don't necessarily know that's true. I think he gets paid to be an overall all-around player that's an all-around hitter, which he always had been. And the one year that he just went, home run overload load was, 2021. And then the year after he got popped for, a substance that was banned because of the fact it hides PED use. So if you want to talk about it from that perspective, I never thought that you pay Fernando for hitting the ball over the fence. You do pay Vlad Guerrero Jr. for hitting the ball over the fence. He's got 6 home runs. And I don't want this to be a 1-to-1 comparison, but it just shows you some years you have power, big power numbers, and some years you don't. But it was good to see Fernando do that over the weekend. We talked about how inconsistent the Padres offense has been. I mean, This series perfectly summarized the Padres season. Friday, they blew multiple leads, bullpen collapsed, lost 7-6. Saturday went 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position, scored 1 run. And Sunday, 19 runs, 19 hits, multiple crooked innings. I mean, 3 completely different offensive identities in 3 days. And that's been the entire season. And we've talked about that a lot. We're going to talk about the pitching staff in a little bit. I mean, Frank mentioned it earlier on the show. Excuse me. He mentioned it earlier on the show about the starting pitching, but I mean, this team has to reinvent their pitching staff. The starters rarely work deep into games. The Padres are doing this hybrid pitching model. So instead of relying on 5 traditional starters, they're building a bullpen full of multi-inning arms. And now they have Randy Vasquez back there. Activated from the IL, immediately moved to the bullpen. And instead of starting, he threw 3 scoreless innings. He provided length. He gave his bullpen flexibility. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on, Frank, this pitching standpoint. I mean, this new pitching philosophy that the Padres have. To be honest with you, what do they got now? They got 63 games left?
Yeah.
63 games left? I think you could do that for 63 games. This shows me a sign of, like, before we dive into the details of this shows me signs of we are trying to survive from a pitching standpoint at right now, because we don't have starting pitching. And whether or not you're going to get starting pitching at the deadline, I think remains to be seen. I don't know how much it's going to cost. It sounds like it might cost a lot. I tell you one trade I would never do. And this is, Jim Bowden put it out there on The Athletic today, and you're going to mention it later on, but like to trade one of your Cruz Schoolcraft or Cash Mayfield for a arm that is a rental, that's not going to cut it for this team.
Nope.
You need more than that. And if you're going to trade one of those 2 guys, which I think are non-tradable because you need some type of pitching help in the future, and I know these guys are a little bit further away, you better get a guy. Like, the only justification you have for trading either of those players, Frank, in my opinion, is getting the fully developed version of them right now as a young player. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're trading for somebody that's
for them
like
in the future.
Right. You're expediting the process. Like, okay, expediting the process. You have Cash Mayfield and this guy over here, and I don't have any examples off the top of my head. By the way, these are pitchers that nobody ever wants to get rid of. But it's like, here's a guy that's like 26 who's under control for 4 years with arbitration that is already a made-up player. Like, that to me would be the guy that you would have to trade for. So there could be some players like that out there. I haven't really looked into it. But I tell you what I'm not doing. This team doesn't need a rental starting pitcher. It doesn't help them. It doesn't help them at all. If the Padres were like 3 games out of the division, I'd say, F it, go get that guy. But they're not. They're not even close. They're 2.5 games out of a wild card spot. That's rental starting pitching, not something you should be giving up top prospects for at this point in time.
No. Not at all.
Let's talk about the weekend with Craig Stammen, because you put this article on there. I read it over the weekend, but it was the perception versus reality for Craig Stammen. I thought this was interesting, Frank. I mean, Kevin Acee wrote this in his daily newsletter for over the weekend about how there's this public perception of Craig Stammen, and then there's the reality behind closed doors. And many Padres fans believe Craig Stammen to be too positive after losses. They believe him to smile too much during post-game interviews. They think he doesn't appear angry enough. He often talks about the sun coming up tomorrow instead of expressing frustration. I mean, he is naturally a positive guy. And you know what? In the grand scheme of life, I think more people need to be like Craig Stammen more than, always being angry and upset all the time. And I find myself to be in that category sometimes. And you got to think it's better to have the outlook that Craig Stammen has on life. I will say that.
Yes.
But the reality is, and what people don't see because they only get to see the media and what's on camera and what's on social media, is according to the report from Kevin Acee, after Friday's loss, Craig Stammen was furious. And in fact, the quote was, "I'm going to bed." That's what he told his wife right when he got home to the hotel. He challenged the hitters directly Saturday morning. Multiple players acknowledged the message was clear and very forceful, that they knew that he was ticked off with the way that they've been playing all season long. They knew that he was ticked off. He has actually been one of the more publicly honest Padres managers regarding poor play. And his philosophy has been simple: stay emotionally even, because the players, not the media, are his primary audience. And he believes consistency from the manager creates consistency inside the clubhouse. And you know what? Those frustrations continued on Saturday with the loss, but then it answered on Sunday. I don't know if that was the answer that they needed. I don't know if he needed to have an explosion for them to get going. That's a different topic. But just because, I think that the key out of this article was, just because Craig Stammen might be a little bit positive and even keel in press conferences and in his interactions with the media, doesn't mean he is that all the time. Doesn't mean he doesn't get frustrated. Doesn't mean he doesn't get angry. I think at this point, managers in Major League Baseball are probably getting a little bit more irritated than us fans. It might not seem like that. So as long as the message still goes to his team and he is managing the clubhouse, that's all that really matters, more so than how positive he is in the media. Because if he was just a bleep to the media after every loss and showed all this anger, but it didn't do anything in the clubhouse, does it really matter what he does in the post-game press conferences?
No.
I don't think it really matters. I don't think it matters at all. I really don't. So obviously he is, he's extra positive after games. He's trying to keep things positive in there. I don't necessarily think him spewing out his anger and his frustrations into a post-game press conference is going to really do anything to impact the players in the field. I really don't. And if it did, he probably would have done it by now.
Theater like that is for the fans solely. I don't. It would be nice to see it every now and again and actually get him to blow up. Not necessarily blow up, but just kind of be a little tiny bit combative the way Schilt was. Just give it a little tiny bit instead of turning it up to 10 like Schilt did. Maybe turn it up to a 5.
Good. You can go ask him a question. He could yell at you for the sake of fans.
Gotcha. But other than that, I mean, it is what it is. Again, these are grown men. These are professionals. And sometimes you do need that little kick. Because sometimes you do get too comfortable. But if you're blowing up blowing up the post-game press conference every day, that's just for...
It falls on deaf ears, man. Mm-hmm. I just, as somebody that coaches, the high school kids, figure that out so fast.
And Ballpark Pretzel, this is not a spin, dude.
We're not spinning anything.
This is how we saw this article and how we read it, dude. Come on.
You know what? I see Craig Stammen get lose his mind with the umpires of the last couple of months. That's showing his frustration. He doesn't have to do it in the media.
No.
In fact, the guys that overdo it in the media is such eyewash.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want him to throw a chair? I mean, come on. It falls on narratives of we have to make up excuses for why the team isn't playing well because God forbid we ever say the players aren't living up to what they expect to do, what they're expected to do. I mean, that's where we're at right now. But, I mean, looking at the way this team played on Sunday, it was great. And I will say this, because based on this article, it was did what he say in the hitters meeting lead to a victory on Sunday? I don't necessarily think it did. To which some people were like, well, why do the players need that? I'm telling you right now, from all levels of athletes, they will do what they can get away with. And eventually you're going to have to nip it in the bud. And here's the other thing. You can't do it all the time. Otherwise, they don't really believe anything you have to say. So there is a timing involved with this. So Craig, obviously, frustrated after Friday. Sunday, played a lot better. The Padres did. Inconsistency has been the biggest key. When we come back, second half preview of the American League. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. We are going to continue with our minor league report in the noon hour. Jaden Taylor, Fort Wayne Tin Caps broadcaster, will join us to talk what's going on in High A Fort Wayne. We got media days in the SEC going on right now, so we're going to have some college football to digest. I was reading up on my Phil Steele book over the weekend. I had to lock into my own personal preferences first. Big 12 football. But I also started reading in a little bit on the Pac-12. Aztecs have a pretty good chance, I think, this season on being in the conference championship. And we'll talk about Aztecs football in the noon hour as well. We're going to start previewing some of the college football as we get closer and closer. I mean, it's not that far away. I mean, just for perspective, high school football is allowed to start their practices July 31st. That's next Friday. Not this upcoming Friday, but the next Friday. I mean, you're like just over a week out from that starting, which means school's coming back, which means you got fall sports getting ready to get underway. It's going to be here before you know it. The fun time of August, which is expected to be extra humid in Southern California due to the El Nino. So, you ready to live in Florida, Frank? Here in San Diego?
I've lived this before. I'm fine. I understand what this is.
It's got to be extra humid.
Mm-hmm.
Brutal.
You have not seen humidity until you've been in a ballpark with your team losing by an extraordinary amount of runs in 95 degrees at 10 o'clock at night with about 97% humidity.
I lived in Texas for 3 years, so I would say yes. Anyway, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're going to talk about the Padres lineup in just a little bit. We have some second half previews that we were going to get to at the end of last week that we get to today. We're going to start with the American League in just a little bit. But first, let's get out to the phones. Richard in Hillcrest will start things off for us on a Monday. What's going on, Richard?
Hey, good morning, guys. Great win yesterday, but let's keep it in focus. It's only one win. It's against the Royals. I still have doubts about our pitching staff. We have to somehow figure out how we can stretch our starters longer in games. That's been a problem all year. Is that possible, in your opinion?
I mean, it should be possible, but we're going to talk about this, Richard, in just a little bit. Later on this hour about the new kind of state of the pitching staff right now and how the Padres are managing with just a handful of bullpen arms that could go multiple innings. I don't necessarily know if that's the recipe for success, but I will say this. With 63 games left, it might be just what they need to survive to potentially make the postseason. I don't know if you can make it through the postseason like that. And you got to get some guys back from injury, especially in the bullpen. I mean, the bullpen that came into the season as one of the best in Major League Baseball is now at a point where they are beat up because they've been used a lot, and they got three important pieces missing. David Morgan's on the IL. Jason Adams on the IL. Jeremiah Estrada's on the IL. There's a lot of that going on, too. So the pitching staff is just beat up. But I will say, like, a lot of the pitching problems the Padres have, Frank, like, yes, coming into the season, it was already kind of a crapshoot, but they had significant injuries already. And on top of that, the offense failed them for like 2.5 months.
Yeah, and that's, to me, that's where the biggest issue is. The fact that the offense was so bad for the first 2 months of the season put so much stress on that starting rotation. And unfortunately, they're they're showing that stress now.
Yeah. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. Let's get out to Jim in Lakeside. Jim, what's going on, man?
Good morning. I'm just calling to ask a question about the Padres.
All right, what do you got for us?
My question is, I was born and raised in San Diego, and I've been here my whole life. I'm 70, and the Padres are always a hustling team. The only two players I ever see that do not hustle are Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. And I'm wondering, why are they empowered because they get paid so much they don't have to hustle like everybody else?
Well, I can't tell you a time where, and I appreciate the phone call, Jim. Can you remember a time, Frank, where like Tatis doesn't like play hard?
Plays overly hard here,
Right.
especially
I mean,
recently.
I am so tired. I am so tired. So tired of hearing people. And I respect older people. I think they bring a lot to society. I think they have a lot of great experience. But I am so sick and tired of listening about how a player is based on how much effort he puts in running 90 feet. I am so sick and tired of hearing that. I couldn't care less about how fast a guy runs 90 feet in 162 games. I don't care. It doesn't change a damn thing. It doesn't. It doesn't change a damn thing. If Manny Machado, let's just think about this. If Manny Machado sprinted 90 feet every single at bat, how many extra hits does he have? 2? Maybe? Has anybody seen how fast Manny is? Has anybody seen how fast Manny is? Frank, you've seen that guy run full speed. Is Manny fast at all?
Not define fast.
Oh, let's look at his baseball savant page. How fast is Manny Machado? He's not fast at all. He is not fast. Does it really matter if he runs it all the way out to first base or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got a little league kid playing 2 games a week. You better hustle, son. When you're trying to stay on a team in college baseball, you better give me a hard 90. When you play every single day and you're a guy like Manny Machado, I don't need you, and you're at his age, I don't need you blowing out a hamstring, sprinting out an infield ground ball against the Colorado Rockies on a Tuesday. So ridiculous. I'm so tired of hearing about that. I don't care. And by the way, I love hearing that from other fans too. It's like, oh, I don't like Manny. He doesn't hustle. I remember a Dodger fan told it to me when I was at the game. This is why going to Padre Dodger games is so like infuriating. You got to listen to just this stupidity all the time. Guys like, oh, Manny could never be a Dodger. He doesn't hustle it out.
He was.
That's what he meant by like, that's why they didn't re-sign him. And I was like, okay, Justin Turner rolled over on one, jogged to first. I'm like, well, Justin Turner's not sprinting. What do you say about him? I thought the Dodgers sprint. And the guy was like, oh, well, that was like, he was going to make it anyway. Okay, thanks for moving the goalpost. Appreciate it, buddy. You have now confirmed you're an idiot. It's seriously. It's like, it happens all the time. If he ran it out, it would be bad. Just relax, okay? I would rather have, I know he's not having that great of a year. I'd rather have the dude not run it out and be in the game all the time than running it out and getting himself hurt because he does, because it's like, it's a waste of time. Waste. It is a waste. Should your kids playing travel ball and Little League run it out? Absolutely. They're learning the game. They're learning to play. Once you get to the big leagues, like how many guys run it out, sprint it out consistently, Frank, that you've seen on any team? How many Mets are out there that's like sprinting to first base?
There's 1, maybe 2 on a team.
Those guys are usually like call-ups, are they not?
For the most part, I can't remember too many times where Brandon Nimmo was jogging one out.
Did you see? All right. Did you look up Manny Machado's sprint speed?
I did not know.
His sprint speed is in the 6th percentile.
It's good. Top 6 of all speed.
No.
No.
That would be 94th percentile. He's 6th percentile. Yeah.
That's not good.
That is like one of the worst. So even if he did hustle it out, it's not really changing much. He's still going to be out. Ridiculous. 833-288-973. 833-288-973. Who's on hold?
That would be Dwayne in San Diego.
Dwayne in San Diego. You're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Dwayne?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Just maybe a little bit different perspective on the Machado not hustling out a ground ball. I do agree with you. I don't want to see him blowing a hamstring or doing anything like that. But maybe at best case, they're sprinting twice a game. Sprinting at a ground ball. And I'm not even saying he needs to go balls out every single time. But I'm a season ticket holder. I take my son. I take his Little League friends. I take his high school friends. And it's a pretty bad example when those kids are sitting with me going, how come he doesn't run out a ground ball? I mean, it's not only that he doesn't even run it out. I mean, he barely goes into a jog. So I don't disagree with you guys, but I do see from a perception of, the kids that I bring to the game with me that it does look like he's not hustling. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you agree with that at all?
I do understand that, but here's my thing, because as a coach, you can't really look at all the pros anymore when it comes to it's a different game now, Frank. It's just a different
sadly.
game. I mean, this is a game on home runs and a game on high strikeouts, and it's just a different game. And when you play college baseball, is a different game than the pros, which is a different game than high school. They all play different styles of baseball, and the big league style is not like the one you want your kids to play. Right? It's not like it's different. So yeah, again, I don't care. I don't care how fast he runs to first base. I really don't. And it's not going to make any type of difference. And if it mattered to the Padres, they do something about it. But they play 162 games. Now, here's where I always ask the follow-up question on this, Frank. If he does that in the playoffs and it's a close game, you could get on him. But you know what Manny does in the playoffs? Go watch his old highlights. You know what he does? He's running it out in the playoffs when the game matters and it's on the line. I mean, you have to understand something. This is a 162-game season. A lot of it's for entertainment. They ramp it up at different parts in the year because even the best teams, Frank, can't stay at that high level the entire season. There's too many games.
Yeah, it wears you out. It definitely does.
Yeah. And in the middle of the summer on a Tuesday, it doesn't matter. In September, when you're trying to make the playoffs, and through October, when you're trying to advance, yes, then I agree that it does matter. And he does that in the playoffs. I just feel like it's a lazy take of, hey, he needs to run more. And all of a sudden, everything was going to change. I mean, if you start looking at every other player that's getting paid $30 million, because I know we don't watch every other team, guess what they're doing? They ain't running either. So this team has a lot of their own problems. It's not because the guys aren't hustling. I mean, come on. 833-288-973. 833-288-973. I agree with one in the chat. Put the fries in the bag about the hustle thing. Let's get out to Ron in San Diego. Ron, what's going on?
Hey, Braden. I above 100% agree with what you said, and let me explain why. I have a good friend of mine that played with the Braves. He's a AAA player of the year, gets called up with Smoltz, Glavine, and the rest of those guys, hits a ball between third and short, busts his hump down to first base, snaps his hamstring. There goes that call-up, gets traded to Detroit because he's damaged goods, goes to spring training, snaps his hamstring, end of the career. Couldn't agree with you more on what you're saying.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, I appreciate that, Ron. I mean, that's a specific example, obviously, kind of an extreme example. But what you have to understand, like, this is a different game than, like, playing one-off games, right? Like, if you're just playing one game, Frank, and everybody's busting their ass, that's fine. But then you got to do it every single day. And this is where, like, there is some disconnect. The more I cover baseball, the more I'm around the teams and see, like, what they are trying to survive the entire season because there's so many games. You're not going to get everybody's best full 100% do or die effort for 162 games. No team is doing that. There's not one team in baseball that's doing that on a daily basis. There's not one. Is that the way you want your kid to play? No, probably not. But your kid's probably playing 2 to 3 games max a week, and that's like if you're playing a tournament. In college, they have all these other days off. They play 3 games over the weekend. They play 1 on a Tuesday. A lot of those kids are still trying to make it. In high school, you play 3 games a week. It's different. It's just different. So the whole reason why we're having this conversation is like, to knock Manny Machado for not running into first base, I just think it gets old so fast. You know what the type of player he is. You're not paying him to try to beat out singles. You're paying him to hit the ball into the gap. You're paying him to get extra base hits. You're paying him to hit the ball over the fence. And when he rolls over on one, he's going to be frustrated. He's not going to run to first. It's not the end of the world. It's not a big day. It's not a big deal. I just feel like, Frank, the older generation of baseball, like, fans want to see that all the time. You just don't see that in baseball nowadays. I mean, the only times you do are guys like Fernando, who did it as soon as he came up, remember? And then guess what he kept doing? Kept getting hurt. He was hurt all the time. I see the same thing with, like, football, and we're going to get to the American League second half preview when we come back. But I remember Ryan Matthews. Ryan Matthews went full go all the time. And this is what people said about Ryan Matthews. He was never good because he always got hurt. Well, you know why he got hurt all the time? That guy was going full out every single rep, and his body couldn't handle it. These guys are trying to play for a long time. They're trying to play a long time. They don't have to hustle it out every single ground ball. You're not going to see that at anybody in Major League Baseball. But there's a lot of guys that do that, and their bodies don't hold up, Frank. It is what it is.
Yeah, somebody in the chat just commented, I'm 65. I remember Hank Aaron and Willie Mays jogging to first base on routine ground balls.
It happens.
You gotta live, man.
They gotta make it through the year.
Exactly.
Playing 162 games is a big ask.
You're no good to anyone unless you're on that field.
Your ability is your availability. That's great if you hustle it out and get hurt all the time. You only play 25 games. But the whole, like, he's got to do it because he's getting paid is just a terror. It's just a tired narrative. When we come back, second half preview for the American League. Are there any good teams in the American League? Like, in reality? Before people go like, well, the Royals beat the Padres. What did it say about? I'm not comparing the Padres to the American League. I'm just saying, are there any good teams in the American League? Talk about it when we come back. 11:23 on a Monday. This comedy YouTube chat kills me, man. Dennis. It's a tired take when the hosts have no real answer for a lack of hustle making nearly $30 million. I get it. His value is more for home runs than defense, but show your teammates you're a team player. What is this, dude? Is this Little League?
You know what the best part is?
I mean, come on, man. Like, show your teammates you're a team player. Is that what it's going to be? Like, you got Ty France waiting on deck. Manny hits a ground ball to shortstop, and he's busting ass out of the box. And Ty France, oh, man, that guy's my teammate right there. That guy, you know what? Manny really doing the best for the team, man. Are you kidding me? Come on. Come on.
You know what's also really funny about these types of conversations? This isn't even a second thought when the team's winning and it's good.
No, I would like tonight. I'll pay attention to it. I'll do some homework on this. Tonight, I want to know how many guys busted down the first baseline. By the way, I got to say this. This is what's funny to me. We understand now that the Padres fans can't wait to get rid of Xander Bogaerts' contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know who busted out all the time? Out the box to first base? Xander Bogaerts. He does it almost every time. The guy's hustling down to first every time. Nobody cares about that then. It's like, oh, well, he's hitting 223. Like, whatever. Come on. Like, let's pick and let's stay consistent here. Xander Bogaerts hustles down to first base. Nobody ever says that. Like, oh, you know what? I'm glad he busts his ass down to first base. Come on. I'd like to know. Tonight, let's pay attention to the game tonight, Frank, even more so than we already do. You have to watch it for the first time. I know, Keto, because we don't watch the games, apparently.
Yeah.
I want you to, we got to write down how many guys hustle to first and how many guys don't hustle to first. On a grading scale. I'll go through it. And we'll see how many guys on both teams. I'd like to know both. If Atlanta, all right, I'll say this. If everybody on Atlanta runs the ball out, like every single time they hustle down the first base, which by the way, like didn't like Acuna get in trouble for that, for not running out. If everybody on Atlanta tonight hustles down to first base and gives it their best on every swing, maybe Manny should hustle it out a little bit more. Maybe that is the Padres' problem. If they do that every single at-bat, I'd love to know. I just can't believe the conversation we're having right now.
It would be easier to do if they were here, but they're not. We can actually physically see everyone in the way they
you could see probably most of them. I'm sure, doesn't Baseball Savant track sprint speed every time?
I don't remember, honestly.
I think they do. Come on. If it was the playoffs and he wasn't doing it, I'd have a gripe. In the middle of July, I don't care. Doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Yeah, like Nate Taylor said in the YouTube chat, if Manny hustled more, we've probably won the last 3 World Series. Got to give us a little bit more effort. Show us he's a team player. He's not a team player. Doesn't run out to first. I looked at. Did you watch the? We have a little bit of time here, and we've gone way too long on this. Did you watch the Yankees-Dodgers game last night?
No, I was watching North Wilkesboro.
I watched the Yankees-Dodgers game last night. Yesterday the World Cup was over. Spain had already won. The Padres had won already early in the day. So I watched Yankees and Dodgers yesterday. And this is going to lead into our talk about the American League. But I'm watching them play. And a couple of things. One, are the Yankees even that good? Like, I watched them play. This is the first time I sat down and watched the Yankees play, and they look like the Padres. They had bases loaded in the fifth inning, no outs. They went strikeout, pop up, and I forget what the last guy did. I think he might have struck out in the fifth. Got 0 runs out of it.
In the fifth, you said?
I watched. Yeah, it was the fifth inning. I watched one of these guys that the Padres should be like blessed to have in a trade for Mason Miller. And he was the player, by the way. He was the player, by the way, that was untouchable when they traded Juan Soto to the Yankees. In Jason Dominguez. What are you laughing about?
Because it was Dominguez who struck out, followed by Jazz Chisholm, who popped up to third. And then it's the Derek Jeter reincarnate, Anthony Volpe down on strike.
Yeah, terrible. I mean, look at the Yankees roster without Aaron Judge and tell me that they're like one of the best teams in baseball. Offensively, they're not. But this is the team who has like the 26th best farm system that's going to give the Padres, quote, a haul for Mason Miller. I mean, start looking at the names of the guys that have been rumored to come here. Jason Dominguez? You want Jason Dominguez on this team? I watched his at-bats yesterday. They were awful against he looked lost at the plate against L.A.
Jason Dominguez batting .229, 5 homers, 11 RBIs, but he does have 6 stolen bases.
He's got a .665 OPS. That sounds like every other player the Padres currently have that you want to ship out of here.
.665 on base percentage. He's got a .661 OPS, so even better.
MLB.com at a .665. Does it really matter? It's under 700, okay? I mean, this is a guy, like, really? Spencer Jones. I like Spencer Jones, okay? I watched him grow up here in San Diego playing Little League on to high school at LCC. It'd be great to have a San Diego kid back. I mean, in one of the articles that I read about the potential trade package that it would take for the Yankees to get Mason Miller, one of the scouts is quoted saying, I don't necessarily know if Spencer Jones will ever figure it out at the big league level. That's from like one of the scouts in the National League that was quoted in this article. He's down in AAA right now, and it's not because they have so many studs in front of him. It's because he needs to figure it out in AAA, and he's going to hit moonshot home runs, but they compared him to Joey Gallo in the article, Frank.
Worked out for a couple of years.
Right. I mean, just like, seriously. So you start looking at some of the names, like Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones. Those are 2, like, prominent names. They dropped in Ryan Weathers as being a focal point of a trade for Mason Miller. This team already gave up on Ryan Weathers, and they're just going to be like, you know what? We'll take him back. He's going to be our future again. For everybody that says like the Yankees have all these players that they could trade to the Padres, there's a lot of mediocrity that you get back. Oh, look at their pitching staff. Let's look at Ryan Weathers. Ryan Weathers is 3-7 with a 4.15 ERA. That sounds like I you know what? I will give it the benefit of the doubt because the Padres starters have not been very good. Right? That might be a slight upgrade, but is that worth trading away a guy like Mason Miller? It's okay, man. We got Will Warren, you know? He's a young player, Will Warren. He's drafted in the 8th round in the 2021 MLB draft. He's 27, young, controllable. He's 7-4 with a 4.03 ERA, Will Warren. And that's only because he had a good start to the season. I mean, these are the names that they're throwing out there for Mason Miller. Like, it's going to drastically change the outcome of the Padres for the next 2 or 3 years.
Here's my biggest question. I asked you this question in the offseason. Cashman's been the general manager for the Yankees for 25 years, 25 plus years?
He's been there for almost longer than I've been alive.
They have not changed many people in that front office, and they have used the entirety of the major leagues as their minor league system for years. What makes you think now that all of a sudden their minor league system with no major changes at the top has finally turned the corner and figured it out?
They're not even like a highly ranked farm system.
No, they're not.
Right. I just, if the Yankees are your best bet at selling Mason Miller, and that's the best they can offer, I don't care that they're major league players. I don't care that they're, even, you're trading for a chance that Will Warren turns into a way better pitcher than he was. Didn't they already do this trade? When they traded Juan Soto there?
Mm-hmm.
Who is young, controllable pitching at the time? Who was supposed to say? Remember, the trade, the Juan Soto trade was, look at all these pitchers the Padres got. Michael King's been solid, but he can't go 6 innings right now. You got Michael King and Randy Vasquez and Johnny Brito, right? These are all young, controllable arms. And you know what? I've used this as a sign of not a bad trade because they filled out your pitching staff and you'd be in a way worse situation than you are now. But those are the young controllable arms you traded for last time you made a trade with these guys on the promise that they could be really good. Remember? Does anybody remember that? Randy Vasquez was supposed to be part of this rotation. I don't think anybody wants to see Randy Vasquez pitch from our fan base right now. They had to move him to the bullpen. And I like Randy. I think Randy's got a lot of great upside. But it's hard to trade for upside because it's just kind of taking a chance. It's just kind of taking a chance. Let's talk about Will Warren because we got to go to break. Can you tell me the last time Will Warren pitched 6 innings?
I was going to say, I think it was June 4th was when he last won a game. I don't know about 6 innings.
The last time Will Warren pitched 6 innings was May 31st.
Oh.
He went 4 1/3 against Cleveland, 3 earned runs. He went 4 innings against Toronto, 5 2/3 against Cincinnati, 5 2/3 against Boston, 5 1/3 against Detroit, 4 against Tampa, 5 against Washington. And in that time frame, since the last time he threw 6 innings, he's pitched in 7 games. He's pitched 34 innings. He has a 5.56 ERA. That sounds pretty close to what you currently have. And if the whole point of trading Mason Miller is to improve your team, why do we think this is going to be the guy that fixes everything? Why do we think Jason Dominguez is going to be the guy that fixes everything, or Spencer Jones, or anybody else that they've mentioned?
Because quantity over quality, dude.
Everybody that has been listed with the Yankees in a trade potentially for Mason Miller are 4 to 5 players that you already have in some capacity. It makes no sense.
But it's the Yankees.
We got to get to the sports thread. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll let you know what's going on in sports. And Nick Sirianni used ChatGPT this offseason with the Eagles. But what did he use it for? It's kind of an interesting story. We're going to get to that in the sports thread. 11:43 on a Monday. Are we going to preview the American League the second half? I don't know if we're going to get to that.
We're gonna preview something.
The Xander Bogart stuff is hilarious too. You know what? I will get to the that particular deal too. Here's my thing. Like Chris, the afternoon show was talking about how you need to get the $25 million off the books. We did that exercise last year or last week. What are you getting for $25 million during this last offseason? What were you going to get for it? What are you going to get for it next offseason? How many players?
You might get a lot more based on whether or not there's a
salary
cap.
Salary cap changes it a little bit.
Changes it a lot of bit.
I mean, I saw a tweet today about like, I don't care what Xander's WAR is. He sucks and he's below average, and you could get anybody to hit 223 and play a solid defense. Can you? I mean, Ha-Seong Kim plays solid defense. He's hitting. What is he hitting again?
Oh, 69.
Doesn't it start with a 0?
Yep. I think it's like 068.
How much money did he get last offseason? How much money are the Braves paying him?
20.
$20 million. I'm just telling you, like, as easy as it sounds like, oh, just get rid of this guy. We could go find somebody else like him. The going rate for a shortstop like Xander is around $20 to $25 million, which is crazy. But that's the going rate right now. I mean, that's what you're going to get. We'll do this exercise tomorrow. I'll go through it. We'll see. You do the exercise tomorrow. I would love to know from Padres fans. I hear it all the time. Well, if you could get somebody to take most of his contract, nobody's going to do that. 1, 2. Let's say half of it gets paid for. Half. Just to make things simple. Let's say half of the contract gets paid for. That saves you $12.5 million a year. Who are you going to get for $12.5 million a year? It's going to like make or break your team in free agency. Unless you're going to hand that out to somebody else on a contract extension. But if they're worth anything, they're probably getting more than $12.5 million. I mean, come on. Let's get to what else is going on in sports. Today's sports thread.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what we got going on today?
We have artificial intelligence today.
Nice.
A bunch of it.
Number 1.
Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni is embracing a new approach to leadership entering his 6th season, even turning to ChatGPT for fresh motivational stories to keep his message from becoming repetitive. Despite owning one of the NFL's best winning percentages and a Super Bowl title, Sirianni once again finds himself under pressure after last season's disappointing early playoff exit. With a revamped coaching staff, roster changes, and high expectations in Philadelphia, Sirianni believes the key to another championship run is building trust, connection, and accountability within a new-look Eagles team. Has Sirianni earned enough success to be considered one of the NFL's elite coaches? Or does he still have to prove that he can consistently keep the Eagles at a championship level?
I'm sorry. He was doing what this offseason? He was using ChatGPT to send sports stories to his team to like refresh the messaging?
He was turning to ChatGPT for fresh motivational stories to keep his messaging from becoming repetitive.
That is some eyewash, dude. I have to say. The fact that he's doing that is already crazy. I don't think he's that great of a coach either. I think he's more worried about like the outside noise than anything else. I think he benefited from the fact that the defense has been legit in Philadelphia and the big reason why they were able to win. I don't see him lasting long this year if they have a tough start.
No.
I mean, that is what? You can't tell me any of the players bought this like, oh, this is great, man. Nick's really cooking right now with this sports story that he sent me that looks AI. I mean, really? Could you imagine? Let's put this into perspective. Could you imagine I like put things through ChatGPT just to talk to my high school players to like keep the messaging fresh? They'd be like, what is wrong with you?
Little Timmy got trapped in the well, but he did not let that stop him from becoming a Super Bowl champion later on in his life. He fought through adversity, did little Timmy.
This is so cringe. I can't handle this. That's ridiculous, Sirianni. There's no way anybody really believed that. There's no way any of his players like, man, guy's cooking.
Last he found little Timmy, then ran a 3.5 40-yard dash. Little Timmy looked at that and said, you know what? It's going to be me. We're going to stick in the National Football League. We're also going to stick in the NFC East. Did you see a Fanatics Fest this past weekend?
Excuse me?
Did you see Fanatics Fest this past weekend?
As in like the Philly Fanatic?
No, as in the giant festival that Fanatics put on.
Not my week to watch the Fanatics Fest, no.
Giants running back Cam Scatterbo said he is perfectly fine.
Oh, I did see him like do the backflip thing.
Yep, after
Yeah.
he failed a backflip at Fanatics Fest, sparking concern among fans, especially since it appeared to involve his surgically repaired right ankle.
Did he not just watch the McGregor Holloway fight, if you even want to call it that?
Scatterbo, who missed much of last season with a serious leg injury, insisted the awkward landing was caused by the event's bouncy floor and reassured everyone he will be ready for training camp.
Just like McGregor will be ready for his next fight.
While the viral moment drew criticism, Scatterbo said he isn't going to change his personality or stop being himself. Should professional athletes avoid unnecessary stunts like backflips during the offseason, or is this simply part of their personality and fan engagement that comes with the job?
His career is going to be short.
Yeah.
Because he does dumb things.
Mm-hmm.
And he did dumb things when he was at Arizona State. Was he at Sac State before that, right? He was at like some FCS school.
So
he's another guy that like his body's not going to be able to hold up to like the stuff that he does. I don't know why you would do that in general. I don't know why you would do that after you surgically repaired your leg when it was completely jacked up. Again, did he not just see the Conor McGregor situation? I mean, why? What is the point in that? I mean, Cam Scatterbo strikes me as a guy that's trying to make it all about like he's like really embracing the tough guy deal, and instead of being like a professional football player, right? He's doing this stuff for clicks other than anything else.
He is athletic enough to land a backflip. He's done it in the end zone several times.
That doesn't mean he needs to do it when he has an injured leg.
I'm just saying it's not like he wasn't trying. It's not like he was trying to do something that he knows he can't do. But the way he landed, it was like a goaltender going into the butterfly. He could have blown both of his knees out doing that.
It's at least when he does it after scoring a touchdown, he's got adrenaline going and the body's like, I mean, you can't just like do that anymore. You're a professional athlete. The Giants have invested money in a draft pick into you. Like, it's time to start being a pro.
I mean, it's one thing if Eli Manning tried to do that. Like, Eli Manning's is barely athletic enough to stand, let alone do a backflip. But it's just because he can. Exactly.
Doesn't mean the Giants think he should.
Oh no, don't worry.
I know.
He's an idiot for doing this. I think he's an idiot for doing this. He's a complete moron for trying that.
I mean, I'm sure Fernando could do a backflip out in the outfield when he runs out there. That doesn't mean we want to see him do it.
No, 100%. No, never do that again, period.
Number 3.
The NBA is investigating the Milwaukee Bucks 4-year, $64 million contract with Gary Trent Jr. over concerns of possible salary cap circumvention. Where have we heard this one before? League officials are examining whether Milwaukee and Trent had a prior agreement in place after he spent the last 2 seasons playing on team-friendly deals before cashing in this offseason. While no wrongdoing has been found, the investigation centers on whether the contract violated the NBA's rules against prearranged deals, a serious issue that has led to significant penalties in the past. Do you think the NBA should crack down harder on teams that appear to manipulate the salary cap, or is this simply a smart roster management decision that falls within the rules?
It's either a salary cap or it's not. I mean, I feel like there needs to be rules in place. And if you violate or bend said rules, NBA needs to go in, fix the rules that they bent, and then emphasize why you can't do this anymore. That's what I believe in. Are we talking? Was that the Clippers situation with the?
No, the Clippers had.
That was separate. That was different.
Yeah, that was, they paid him under the table through a different thing.
For sure.
What the NBA is claiming the Bucks did was they kept him in. They basically told Trent, hey, listen, if you sign these lesser deals, we'll get you a max deal once it becomes available.
That's not really any. I mean, they could make those false promises. You have to get a player to agree to that, though, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the worst. When we come back, we'll be joined for our update on the minor leagues.
In this city, you're hearing about it right here.
The Michael King contract, super creative. I think it's a great win for the Padres.
Real opinions, real takes, no wasted time.
It has been the little things that have outdone San Diego State, and that's where they got to improve.
Live and local on 97.3 The Fan. The Braden Surprenant Show starts now.
New lunchtime hour on the Fan. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego Summer Sports Station 97.3. The Fan. We're going to take a quick break from some of our Padres talk with the big league club and focus in on what's going on down in the minor leagues. We go to High A Fort Wayne with their broadcaster, Jaden Taylor, joining us now on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. Jaden, what's going on? Let's get closer to the trade deadline. How are things going with you and the Tin Caps?
Doing good, Braden. Yeah, I always appreciate you having me on. It's kind of crazy. Just a couple weeks away from hitting on to August. Just 1/3 of the season left to go out here in Fort Wayne. And, yeah, the team just working out of the break. Only had 2 games out of the break due to some air quality issues on Friday. And the pitching's look good. We'll see how the bats kind of fare out these next couple weeks.
Let's talk about, again, we mentioned the last time you were on with us. You had, obviously, there was a lot of moving parts with the minor leagues. They had a lot of reshuffling of players. Guys got some new ones. For now, a couple of weeks. How have the new players done now over a bigger sample size with the Tin Caps?
Pitching has been, I think, the biggest bright spot that we've seen. I think you look at some diamonds in the rough that it feels like A.J. Preller and Chris Kemper able to find at any points and all across the world. I'd say Brian Balzer is an example of that. A guy who only threw a couple of innings in high school out in Japan, had to have Tommy John surgery after his high school career, and he has come out here to Fort Wayne and developed in such a massive way this season. Has a real big relationship with Yu Darvish. His actual sweeper grip is based off of Yu Darvish's grip. He taught him the pitch. Has added 2 more pitches to his arsenal this season, including a split changeup that has been purely incredible. Had a rough first outing when he first moved up to High A. I think it was a little bit more jitters to look at, but his last 2, 8 innings of 1-run baseball, the fastball's been up in the upper 90s. Changeup's been really good. As I mentioned, the sweeper has been absolutely dominant to look at. Balzer is pretty much the main guy that's come up. When your Cheerios look good too. There's been some questions with his command a little bit, but the stuff is definitely there. Fastball's also been up in the upper 90s, a lot of really good ride to it as well, which kind of gets away from opposing hitters. And a slider has been another solid piece to his arsenal.
Obviously, the big player that everybody keeps talking about, and as we get closer to the trade deadline, whether or not the Padres are buy or sell remains to be a big question. But if they do, in fact, buy a big name that does get thrown around a lot, future Padres, hopefully pitcher at the big league level in Cash Mayfield is part of the Tin Caps. He's 3-1 this year with a 3.20 ERA in his 14 starts. How has Cash done this season for the Tin Caps, and how has he done since the last time we've talked about him?
Yeah, he's been a bunch of fun all throughout this season. Got a week off last week. He's got a chance to go out to Philadelphia to Citizens Bank Park for the NBA All-Star Futures game, and he had an absolute blast. Family was out there. Got to talk with Brandon League, who was an 11-year big leaguer with the Phillies and a couple other different organizations, and it was kind of a surreal experience. His hometown is smaller in size and the capacity of Citizens Bank Park, and it was the biggest place he could have pitched, and loved the experience with it. Had a great time with other big players, and again, it showed that he is a guy that the Padres and so many others all across baseball look at him as one of the best prospects in the game right now. And big reasons why I've been the changeup. It is the darling pitch that you're going to see with his arsenal. He grew up watching Max Fried when he was initially actually part of the Braves system or the Padres system, then to the Braves initially. And he's kind of looking a lot like Fried more and more every single day. Has the same kind of fastball slider change look that he had young in his career. And he's been incredible to watch. Last time, only 2 innings of work just because mainly needed to get different arms ready to go across the weekend after the All-Star break. But he's shown solid life. We'll see the fastball get up to the mid-90s. That's been a positive thing to see here this summer. And the slider's actually really grown the last couple of outings, which has been the pitch that he's been trying to develop more than anything else this year.
You mentioned the bats, and you were talking about hopefully the bats get going a little bit. I mean, there are a handful of players on this Tin Caps roster that are position players that are in the Padres' top 30 prospects. How have the bats been doing, and who are some of the names that have really tore it up a little bit more than others for the Tin Caps this season?
Yeah, one guy inside the Padres top 30 right now, according to the pipeline that's been red hot, has been Kavares Tears. There's been some questions here and there about his swing and miss, but when he connects, you know that he connects. And the swing and miss stuff has been something he's been gradually working on this year and has allowed himself to have a higher walk rate as well this season. But across the last 2 months, has 10 home runs, 15 this season. It seems like every single time he connects with the baseball, it is heard all across the ballpark. It's a different kind of swing when he goes out there to batting practice. The other guy I know you know very well, and everybody in San Diego knows very well, Justin Acrisio is the hottest hitter for Fort Wayne right now, and he's been a bunch of fun. A guy who started out at the University of San Diego, went to NC State, going into the All-Star break across the first week and a half, going into that 4-day break, had the second most hits in minor league baseball, 10-game hitting streak that sadly got cut down on Sunday. It seems like any single time there is possibly a lull for this offense, JD's been the one to get this group out. And not a guy in the top 30, but for those that might remember last season, a part of the Ramon Laureano and the Ryan O'Hearn trade, Brandon Butterworth, who has been great in the Orioles system now, was a part of that trade. Decrecio is really the same type of player, a little bit smaller in stature, but he goes out there and he plays like an absolute workhorse nearly every single day. 24 straight games that he's played right now, over a month right now across the last month or so of this season, and he's been a lot of fun to watch.
We're talking with Jaden Taylor, the play-by-play man of the Fort Wayne Tin Caps, as we continue our minor league coverage once a week, focusing in on a different team in the Padres minor league affiliates. You mentioned JD, Justin Decrecio. Obviously, there's probably a handful of players that always find their way in trade talks. And here's the thing with the minor leagues that I think a lot of people don't understand. I mean, yes, there's MLB Pipeline for the top 30 prospects per team, but that's how MLB Pipeline views farm systems. Every team has a different ranking for their players. The Padres have rankings for their own players as well as all the other organizations. Who are some of the players that might not be, and maybe it was just Justin Acrisio, but guys like him that maybe other teams might value that you've seen play at a pretty high level so far this year as we get closer to trade deadline time?
Yeah, I'll start with a guy who is in the top 30 right now for both the list. Ryan Weidman has been a bunch of fun to watch. 3rd-round pick last season out of Western Kentucky. He is fast in every single name of the game. He's made some Sports Center top 10 plays in center field. Actually, 2 plays that have made Sports Center top 10 across the last month that he's been here with Fort Wayne. 2nd in minor league baseball in stolen bases. Started off the season down in Single A at Lake Elsinore, and has had some adjustments here to the high A level, but I've been very impressed about his bat-to-ball skills. He's not a selfish hitter in any way. Is willing to take whatever kind of hit the pitcher is going to give to him, and has the ability to spray the ball to all different parts of the field. He's been really fun to watch. Again, the speed is next level. 50 stolen bases this year across 2 levels. Again, 2nd in minor league baseball right now. And one guy on the pitching side that I think could be a fun guy to talk about, he's been in high A for 4 years. I think it's going to be a quote-unquote bashing thing you could look at, but recently with a couple of different adjustments to his overall arsenal, Will Barmett's been arguably the best bullpen arm for Fort Wayne right now. We talked about Clay Edmondson and Tucker Musgrove, who are now in Double-A San Antonio after great starts to this season. Barmett's got a fastball that in community college touched up to 99 miles an hour. He's got a great slider, has been working and tweaking out a couple of things that's allowed him to have a lot of success across the last 2 months. And he's basically earned himself a spot as the closer for this group. So we'll see how that mixes in, but I think he's a name at least to watch just because of his stuff. And overall, as a guy, one of the best guys in this bullpen, great contributor to this squad, and I think is a great attribute to this entire organization.
We're talking with Jaden Taylor, play-by-play man of the Fort Wayne Tin Caps, joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. All right, so I asked the other members of this of the minor league affiliates, the other broadcasters that join us once every couple of weeks. We asked Brian Yancelson of AA. We asked Tim Haggerty of AAA. Now we're going to ask you, Jaden. I know it's your first year or early years as a Tin Caps broadcaster, but based on maybe some stories you have heard or some experiences yourself, trade deadline is always kind of crazy with AJ Preller in charge of the general manager of the San Diego Padres, obviously. What are some of the crazy stories you might have heard or maybe you've experienced in your young time as a broadcaster leading up to the trade deadline when it comes to the Padres and their affiliates?
Yeah, I mean, last year was an eventful one, right? I mean, we had Leo DeVries, who was with us last season, of course, a part of that deal with Mason Miller heading on to the A's organization. Last season, my personal perspective of it was basically hanging out, just waiting for something to happen. Didn't know what was going to happen, didn't know where it was going to go, didn't know if anything was even to be affected with our roster. And of course, by 3 days later, we had 20 different roster changes with everything that had happened from the deadline. But I remember seeing Leo with a white G-Wagon get traded, have to walk out to his car, and drove up to Lansing, and watching him drive out of the ballpark because he had to play that night up in Lansing, Michigan, or the high affiliate of the Athletics still currently. And he made a 2-hour drive, played there that night. I was getting texts from their broadcaster. They had already printed out the entire jersey for him, ready to go and play that night. And he played pretty well up there with Lansing too. So that was probably the biggest, craziest moment of last season. Just didn't really expect that to happen. And, it was a somber moment for a lot of people in the clubhouse, just loving Leo and knowing that he had been a great contributor to the team and to the organization. And it was tough to see him go, but that's the kind of craziness that comes with the trade deadline every year.
Brian Yancelson of AA mentioned this, Jaden. I don't know if you have to abide by it too. He did all his game notes before one of the big trades, and then like 4 to 5 of the players mentioned the game notes ended up getting traded later on that afternoon. I would imagine it's probably tough on August 3rd to get your game notes done or updated before the nightly game. That might be a little bit difficult for you this year. Maybe, who knows how the trade deadline goes? But are game notes off limits until the trade deadline finishes?
Yeah, that's a fun thing. I didn't have a ton of experience. Last season was my first season here of, okay, what's the deadline going to be? And basically for me, between, I guess last year was a little bit earlier, but looking at August 3rd this year, August 2nd, I will have everything done that I can possibly have done that night before I go to bed, which might be a naturally night owl type of person I am. Will be a little bit later than normal, but hopefully I'll have everything done, quote unquote, on August 2nd at midnight or August 3rd at midnight on that morning. And then basically just be ready to go with whatever changes come to happen afterwards. Here's the big thing. Game notes might be off limits. The bigger thing that is off limits, I'm not printing a single thing until the final hour and the final trade comes through, because I don't want to reprint 10 different rosters and 5 different changes within an organization within those couple hours.
I think it's probably a good call. Good thing you guys have the day off on August 3rd, trade deadline day, so you'll have some time before you dive into the next series and a home series that it is. What's coming up for the Tin Caps in the next couple of series? Obviously, we won't talk to you for a couple of weeks as we make our rounds around the minor leagues, but where are the Tin Caps at standings-wise? I know it's kind of the final stretch or beginning of the final stretch of the season for the minor leagues. What's coming up down the pipeline for the Tin Caps this week and next?
Yeah, so right now, the second half of the season, 10-13 right now, 4th in the Eastern Division of the Midwest League. About 6 games back. Again, a top team in the Eastern Division, Great Lakes, the Dodgers affiliate right now. We'll see them in 2 weeks out there at Dow Diamond in Central Michigan. Next week, we're back at home, taking on the Lake County Captains, the high affiliate of the Guardians. And these next 2 weeks are going to be really important because it's the top 2 teams in the Eastern Division right now that don't already have a playoff spot clinched. So these next 2 to 3 weeks are going to be really important if we want to have a chance and find ourselves in the playoff conversation.
Jay, we appreciate the time as always. Have some good calls in the next couple of weeks, and we'll talk to you after the trade deadline. Hopefully you don't have too many crazy stories to tell us about it.
We'll probably have one or two. I appreciate you, Red.
Jaden Taylor joining us in the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better play-by-play voice of the Fort Wayne Tin Caps as he gives us the update on High A Fort Wayne. Yeah, even he's in his second year in Fort Wayne, and he has already had he had the Leo DeVries story. So far, everybody has had a crazy story. I'm pretty sure our guy in Lake Elsinore is in his first year, so he doesn't have any stories yet. And maybe he's heard some. Because I would imagine as a broadcaster, if you are a broadcaster for a Padres minor league affiliate, there's probably some questions of what's the trade deadline like? What's the trade deadline like here? I don't necessarily know it's going to be that crazy, though, for the Padres. I mean, they're one game under 500. They have to do well in Atlanta. I still think if they're within 5 games of the wild card, they're probably going to buy something. But I don't think it's going to be as crazy as previous years. I don't see it like that. And who knows what they have available to trade. I will tell you this. I mean, I look at like the Mason Miller stuff, and I do not really like what you could potentially get in return with the Yankees. And if you want to be honest about that, let's be like really honest about who your best trade partner is for Mason Miller. This is going to make people cringe. But like, if you're really trying to trade Miller for the best value and the best value back, there's really only one team that could actually get you what you want. And that's the Los Angeles Dodgers. So if you're really on board with like trading Mason Miller at his height, peak value, and getting them as much back possible to improve your roster in the future, which is what everybody wants to do that's interested in trading Mason Miller, Frank, there's nobody better to trade with than the Dodgers.
Got a lot of young pieces, a lot of young controllable pieces as well.
They got 8 players in the top 100 for the top 100 prospect. They have the guys. There's nobody better. But you wouldn't want to do that. Right? You wouldn't really want to do that. I'm just saying, like those are the deals that you would have to make if you really want the best for your team in the future. I saw somebody in the comment, because people in the comments were talking about this in the YouTube comments, and somebody's like, "No, you wouldn't give the Dodgers. You wouldn't want to make your division rival better, but wouldn't you be making yourself better in the process?" If you don't want to see this guy on the Dodgers, you probably don't want to trade him. I think we're getting to that exercise here. You better get something back big in return. Maybe Milwaukee can do it. Maybe Tampa can do it. I don't think Tampa pulls the trigger on something like that. They don't really roll the dice big. Does Milwaukee ever roll the dice big? Well, they keep a lot of their guys. That's what led them to be successful. So we'll see. When we come back, we'll finally get to the American League second half preview. We'll talk about some of the teams in the American League and discuss if there even is a good team in the American League. We'll get to that next. 12:24 on a Monday. Padres and Braves today at 4. What did they play? 4:20?
4:15.
Wow, they changed their time. They always had the 20 starts. How about that?
It's just 5 minutes earlier.
They're saving the 5 minutes now, I guess. They had the 20 starts, and the Blue Jays had the 07 starts, and the what did the Angels have? 38 starts? Canada
time is different.
Oh yeah, of course.
Anaheim time is different too, I guess.
Well, that would be Mickey Mouse time, I guess.
3:38 is a pretty Mickey Mouse.
That's
time.
pretty Mickey Mouse. Yeah, I had to say.
You do the 08 actually, because if you turn the 08 on the side, it looks like his head, and then you got the ears.
Well,
for 08.
I handed out a foul to one of my players at Crucible. He said something stupid, so I was like, "That's a foul, dude." And then he doubled down. I said, "Second personal, second team foul." And you do not want to know what happens when your team fouls out at Crucible. Definitely do not.
What happens, Coach? Give me like 10 minutes. I'll figure it out.
10 minutes. Give me 25 seconds. I can think of a lot of crazy things to do. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. Real quick, let's get out to Brandon and Carlsbad before we talk about the American League. Brandon, what's going on, man?
Frank and Braden and Frank. Here we go. Toxic positivity. Just kidding. Season's over. We're all talking. We're all filling the air. You know, trade Mason Miller to the Dodgers. Let's go watch another Padre come whoop our ass, you know? Let's do it. That would just be great. At this point, after that KC series, you know, I liken it to somebody that needs to take more Zoloft. We win by 20 points. We lose by 20 points. We win 2 in a row. We lose 2 in a row. I don't know, Braden. I don't know, Frank. I just need you guys to brighten up my day because I've had about enough of it. And, you know, what's going to hurt us if we do trade Mason Miller? Do we really have a chance anyways? You know, is this a buying or a selling season? I need your guys' help today. You're my counselors, you guys. God bless. I need it. I need your help. Say something sweet. Thank you.
Appreciate the phone call, Brandon.
Monday's almost over.
Monday is almost over. Tomorrow's a new day. The point of that last exercise with the whole, if you're really focused on trading Mason Miller for the best value possible, the Dodgers are the team that can give you the most value. But nobody wants to do that. So then it immediately goes to the point of the exercise, Frank, of then you don't really want to trade Mason Miller. Not for what exactly you say you want to do. I just feel like everybody wants to be like kind of half in this, half in that, not really stick to a plan. Nobody wants to fully commit to anything. Kind of where you're at. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. If the Padres are in the American League, they'd be in a really good spot right now because the American League is terrible. Let's talk about the second half of the American League as a second half preview. Fire up the music, Frank. We haven't heard this in a long time. Hopefully this will brighten up Brandon's day. All right. Second half preview of the American League. ESPN.com put an article out there. We're going to just quickly talk about it. But unlike the National League, where there's some clear heavyweights at the top, the American League feels like a league that is waiting for somebody to take control. Because in the National League, there's a lot of teams battling for a spot to make the playoffs, but you know who the favorites are to win the National League. In the American League, are there any good teams at all? I watched the Yankees play last night. I was like, this team is one of the best teams in the American League. I couldn't believe it. I mean, the way that they played, they looked a lot like their offense looked like the Padres' offense, especially the fact that they don't have Aaron Judge in their lineup anymore. But Frank, as we look at this, before we do the full breakdown, I look at the American League, and I don't see a lot of good teams in the American League. In fact, if the Padres were in the American League West, they would be one game out of first place in the American League West with the record that they have.
Yeah, the American League is not good. And we'll start with the American League East here. The Tampa Bay Rays continue proving everyone wrong. The Rays are doing what they always do: develop young players, spend less, still win. They overcome stadium uncertainty, payroll disadvantages, and injuries, and still own the best record in the American League. Meanwhile, the Yankees are simply trying to survive. They're missing their stars. Aaron Judge hasn't been healthy. Their rotation is depleted. Yet they're still right there because the rest of the league hasn't separated. The expectation is that Brian Cashman will be extremely aggressive at this trade deadline for the Yankees, and something that this completely leaves out. Boston Red Sox are on a generational heater right now, 13 wins in a row for Boston. So they've climbed themselves back into the relevancy in the American League East as well.
Well, on top of the fact that the Rays have lost 5 straight. I mean, this has to be the weakest American League we've seen in over a decade. I mean, outside of Tampa, who's on a 5-game losing streak and just got their ass handed to them by Boston all weekend, who in the American League actually scares anybody? Is there anybody in the American League that's scary to you? Like, if the Padres magically made it to the World Series, is there any team in the American League you're like, oh man, I really don't want to face those guys? It would be like maybe Tampa. I watched that Yankees team I finally got to sit down and watch that Yankees team play. They're not scary at all. We saw the Red Sox early in the year. I know they're different. They're playing like a different team right now. I think they're just getting hot at the right time. Baltimore wasn't very good. I didn't think Toronto was good. The White Sox were decent. They're not a team that scares you though. We haven't seen Cleveland yet or Minnesota. Detroit is banged up. Kansas City this weekend, even though they beat the Padres 2 out of 3, they're terrible. And I haven't seen anybody in the American League West that's really scary. I mean, this has to be the worst American League we have seen in over a decade. True or false? I say that's true.
100% true.
You can't point to one team being like, this team's unbelievable.
And the Padres get the Tampa Bay Rays at the end of August. That's the final couple of days in August of that last weekend series. To the American League Central, which is the biggest surprise in baseball. No one expected this division. Instead, White Sox are contenders. The Guardians keep winning despite offensive issues. The Twins are actually miraculously hanging around. The Tigers have become the biggest trade deadline story, and the Kansas City Royals still exist. Tarek Skubal changes everything. Detroit's season could define the trade deadline. The question, do you trade arguably the best pitcher available or keep him because your division is so weak? This could completely reshape the American League.
I don't see the Tigers re-signing Skubal in the offseason. And so from that logic, it's like, do you want to get something for him before he walks, or do you just want to be all in and potentially doing what Cleveland did last year and flip it on Cleveland where you just go on a heater in the second half? That's going to be an interesting decision for the Tigers. Because I don't see a world in which they trade Skubal and are still competitive in the season. I mean, I did see this proposal. It was from one of our friends of the show, who covers the Angels, Jeff Fletcher. He threw out this idea for a trade. I think it's very interesting. Tigers get Soriano or Detmers and a Dodgers prospect. Dodgers get Skubal. Angels get 3 to 4 of the top Dodger prospects. That would be a way for the Tigers to buy and sell Soriano or Detmers. Would be a big add at the deadline. It's not, I mean, you don't have Skubal anymore. And with how bad the American League is, you get some pitchers for the future and a prospect, and you can still relatively compete in 2026 because of how bad things are. I just think that's a tough sell for the Tigers fans at that point. I think they probably keep him. And they roll the dice with the season and just go, this is our last ride with Tarek Skubal, would be my guess, Frank.
I would think so as well. I don't see the same fight in the Tigers offense, especially in order to pull off what they did in 2024. I don't see it. Really quick here. The AL West is a mess. The division is a complete disaster. Texas leads despite underperforming. Seattle can't hit. Houston can't pitch. Nobody wants to win this division, and it is entirely possible that an 84 and 78 division champion wins the West.
That's if they're lucky.
Yep.
I think they could probably, when the Padres won the division in, what was that, 06?
Yeah.
Or 05, they were like 82 and 80. I think this division's going to be an 82 and 80 winner. Seriously. 82 and 80, I think, is going to win the American League West. That's how bad it is. I can't imagine some of these teams making big moves to go it over the top. I don't even think they need to. I just like the Rangers, a couple moves are in the playoffs. And then with how bad the American League is, it's not going to take a lot to win to get hot. That's why, even with the Scooble thing with the Tigers, because Adam in the YouTube chat says, if you could guarantee the Tigers a trip to the ALCS if they kept Scooble, but they would definitely lose, would you keep Scooble? Definitely losing, I guess, is an interesting ploy, but the American League is so bad, it's almost better. The American League might as well just, most of their teams might just stand pat and add a little bit at the margins. It might be just enough to win not only your division, but win the American League pennant. That's how bad they are. The NLCS will be like the real World Series based on the two best teams remaining. But with baseball, it's such a crapshoot. This will be, this will be the year the American League will win. This will be like the year the American League wins the World Series. They'll have the Dodgers will represent the National League, and some terrible team will just get hot at the right time and beat the Dodgers in the World Series. You'll have the Seattle Mariners win their first World Series, and they'll go 82 and 80 and win their division. That's something that might be in the play. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Padres in the lineup debate. Everybody keeps complaining about the lineups that Craig Stammen keeps churning out. We'll address that when we come back. And we need a contestant for a midday sports standoff. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll do those things when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Setting us over at Sports Station 97 to the Fan. $12:42 on a Monday. If you can take me down in sports trivia this week, you will be entered for a chance to win our grand prize, a 2-night stay at Fontainebleau, Las Vegas. A $150 food and beverage credit. Oasis Pool Deck at Fontainebleau, Las Vegas is officially open for the season, offering a 6-acre elevated pool experience with 6 distinct pools and a beach. Enter to win a 2-night stay at Fontainebleau, Las Vegas, and a $150 food and beverage credit. To book your stay, visit FontainebleauLasVegas.com. Now, our baseball coverage on 97 through the Fan is presented by Xfinity. Score the most reliable Wi-Fi. One price, 5 years guaranteed. Xfinity. Imagine that. Okay. We're going to get to the conversation about the lineup because everybody's upset about the lineup here for the Padres. And I think it also relates to some other things that we might be upset about as fans. A lot of the talking points right now with Craig Stammen and the way he manages is some of the lineup decisions. And a lot of those problems are with guys at the bottom of the order hitting well, and why isn't he moving them up? I personally don't have a problem with that. I mean, you want length in your lineup anyway, and just because the bottom of the order is doing their job doesn't mean if you put them in the top 4 spots, they're going to continue to do their job. I look at this from the perspective of Jackson Merrill, his rookie season. Jackson Merrill, his rookie year, they had him bat near the bottom of the lineup for most of the season, and everybody was clamoring for him to bat 1, 2, or 3 because he was doing so well. Why don't you bat him at the top of the order? Well, then they tried it once or twice, and he went over. It's a different element batting at the top of the order. And you usually put your veterans there. You put your guys that you're paying the money to be in those spots. You want to get some of these guys going. You want to get more at bats. I mean, I understand the logic there. But, I mean, Miguel Andujar over his previous 13 games at 389 with a 1047 OPS. He had 3 doubles on Friday. Second 3-double game in 4 games, yet he remained batting 8th. Ty France, previous 66 at-bats. He has a 318 average, a 1044 OPS. He's still hitting 6th. Jackson Merrill, on the other side, 216 average, 619 OPS on the season. Since July, or in the month of July, a 240 average, 656 OPS. He's still batting 2nd. Xander has not hit well, 224 average, 645 OPS, and in July, he's hitting 163 with a 539, yet he's batting 3rd, in which everybody continues to say, well, why isn't Craig Stammen moving these guys into the top of the order? And his reasoning is the Padres believe their season ultimately depends on Fernando, Manny, Xander, and Jackson, and based on the contracts, I would say that's the case. And his philosophy is if those 4 get going, everything else falls into place. And until then, he isn't abandoning them. And I kind of agree with that logic. And for example, Ty France, his numbers this year, we would all say that Ty France has put together a good season, right? Would we say that? I think so.
He's had a very good year.
He's had a great year. He's been a big pickup for the Padres. They gave him a minor league contract to bring him in. He made the team, and he has been exceptional. But as Craig Stammen mentioned about whenever they've promoted a hot hitter, that player immediately cooled off. He mentions Ty France as an example. When Ty France was batting in the bottom third, when Ty France bats in the bottom third of the lineup, and let's just pull up Ty France's numbers in general, just for perspective, okay? So Ty France this season for the San Diego Padres hitting 275, 14 home runs, 2.3 WAR. He's had a great year as a guy that you expected to be a spot start guy, bat off the bench, okay? Not a big number, not a big contract number guy, right? His OPS is over 800. It's phenomenal. Let's play the fun game that Frank loves to play of guessing stats.
Go.
Ty France in the bottom 3 spots of the order. Do you want to guess what he's hitting?
287.
He is hitting 281 with a 581 slugging percentage. That's what he's doing in the bottom 3 spots. Do you want to know what he's doing in the top 4 spots this year?
173.
172 with a 266 slugging percentage. Did you look at the sheet? No.
The sheet's not up.
Ty France in the top 4 spots of the order is hitting a $172 with a 266 slugging percentage. And in the bottom 3 spots in the order, 281 average with a 581 slug. That totally proves that there are some guys that can hit at the top of the order and there are some guys that can't. And just because you're doing very well at the bottom part of the order doesn't mean you're going to do very well in the top part of the order. And I find it funny because a lot of the people that complain about moving the batting order around and these guys are hot, they should be near the top. Those are the same people that go, why would you take Fernando out of right field? He's so great. Yet they want to change it when it comes to the batting order. I think it gets back to the point that people like to bitch just to bitch. But on the same thing, on the same line of those things, I honestly think that there are players on this team that need to continue to stay at the bottom of the order. Ty France is one. Miguel Andujar is one. I mean, Gavin Sheets has struggled a large part of the season, but like these are players, Jake Cronenworth. It's okay for them to have success, Frank, at the bottom of the order. It's okay. They're doing their job. Everything that we've talked about this team all relates back to the same thing. The top 4 guys you paid to be your best players are not doing their job. That's it. I'll take that back. Fernando's doing his job. Okay? Fernando's doing his job. I don't want to rope Fernando into that. I think he's been a great player all season. And if you want to really look at Fernando, okay,
he had a rough start, but he's really turned it around, and now the power is starting to follow.
But let's just look at like Fernando's numbers before and after his first home run. I think to me, those are the signs of the 2 seasons. That is the tale of 2 seasons for Fernando, is before and after his first home run of the year. Because I think that was pressing on him. Because remember, we went through all the analytics and like the power, the swing, and he's hitting the ball hard, and people are like, what does that mean? That means nothing. We don't care about him hitting the ball hard. If you look at his numbers before and after, you could tell me which guy is Fernando. So he played 56 games. He played 55 games. Okay, he played in all but one. He played in 55 games before he hit his first home run. And in those games, he was hitting 268 with a 652 OPS, right? No home runs, 17 RBIs. Is that Fernando? Is that the real Fernando? Is that the real Fernando? No. It's not the real Fernando. He got that first home run. And since that home run, he is hitting 302 with 7 home runs in 43 games with 24 RBIs and an 842 OPS. Is that the Fernando that you paid $30 million for, whatever it is now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. That's what you paid for. It's exactly what you paid for. 7 home runs in 43 games. I don't want to handpick spots in the season, but if you're still complaining about how many home runs that Fernando has, when you realize that the beginning part of his season was so bad and such an anomaly, I mean, in these 43 games, I mean, it has almost played the same amount of games after that home run as he did the first. He still has 12 more games to go. He's hitting 302 with an 842 OPS. and 7 home runs with 13 doubles and 24 runs batted in. That is kind of what you paid for. Is it not? I mean, that's the value you have. I still think that people and we find ourselves put in this position that if you get paid more, like we act like getting paid $20 million is like getting the highest contracts in Major League Baseball.
Poddstown in
They're
chat,
not.
What was his OPS in which stretch, pre or post home run?
I think he was asking for the post. It's 842. Okay, like
there you go.
You cannot tell me in 43 games since his home run that Fernando has not done the job he was asked to do. If you think Fernando was going, if you want more than that, you're setting unrealistic expectations. You'll never think Fernando's good. Maybe a couple more home runs, I guess. Maybe. I mean, that's what you paid for. That's what you pay for. I mean, you could talk about the Xander Bogaerts situation, and maybe we do today, maybe we do tomorrow. You look up, I looked it up. And, you know, people like to change the stat. This is what makes baseball so great and so terrible at the same time. People change stats to fit narratives. And the stats that matter change all the time. But the best way to determine a value of a player is WAR and OPS plus and ERA plus. These are stats that compare players to other players around the league. Since Xander Bogaerts signed his contract with the Padres, he has been a top 10 shortstop in Major League Baseball. It's at the bottom end of the top 10, but he's been a top 10 shortstop in Major League Baseball. The other top 10 shortstops, players that you couldn't have. Bobby Witt Jr., you weren't getting him. Francisco Lindor, not getting him. Gunnar Henderson, didn't draft him. Mookie Betts, Ellie De La Cruz, Trey Turner, Dansby Swanson, Geraldo Perdomo, Jeremy Pena, Willie Adames. Those are the guys in the group since Xander signed with the Padres. If you look at WAR and what Fangraphs determines as the value of the WAR in terms of overall production, so he has an 11.4 WAR over those years. In terms of overall value, that equates to $91.2 million. Now, this is over 3.5 seasons, right? I want you to do me a favor, Frank. Do you have your phone?
I do.
Do you have the calculator out?
I can.
Can you do it within like a couple seconds?
It's up.
I want you to take 90.
Speaking of which, couple seconds. We're already over.
I want you to take 91.2 and divide it by 3.5.
91.2 and divide it by 5?
Divided by 3.5. That is how much money per year Xander Bogaerts is valued based on Fangraphs. Frank, you could tell us on the other side how much money per year Xander Bogaerts is worth. We'll talk about that at 1 o'clock. One o'clock on a Monday. Padres and Braves will get underway at 4:15 today. Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show at 3:15. We do have a lineup. But before we get to that, Frank, can you go ahead and take the $91.2 million that is the value of what Xander Bogaerts has done and divide it by the 3.5 years that he has been on the Padres and tell me what that number is?
26.0571.
Which would be...
2.
Stop
8.
it. I want you to round to the
6
cents.
It's $26.1 million.
Okay. $26.1 million. So, how much does he get paid again?
25.5.
$25.5 million. You are getting exactly what you paid for.
A little bit more, actually. $500,000 more.
Get $500,000 more. Now, I am not a believer in the fact, like, I'm not going to sit here and say that Xander Bogaerts has been like way better than what you expected. He has been, I think, a little disappointing for the Padres in terms of when you signed him. I think everybody could address the fact that he was signed not out of necessity, right? I think we've gone to that point. But since he has signed with the Padres, if you look at his value in terms of WAR, according to Fangraphs, he is the 11th best shortstop in Major League Baseball. It's a top 10 shortstop, roughly. Top 11, if you want to get statistical on this. Or if you want to be exact, that's fine. He has had an 11.4 WAR over the last 3.5 seasons. The guys better than him are players you couldn't have gotten. The only one that you could have is Dansby Swanson. That's the only guy. And Dansby Swanson has had his fair share of problems. The biggest difference, though, is Dansby's defense has been better than Xander's defense. He has in terms of his total defense, which is fielding and positional adjustment combined, above average. He had a 57 on that. It's the best. He's actually the second best defensive shortstop over the time behind Bobby Witt Jr., according to Fangraphs. But you start going through the list of names. Bobby Witt Jr. was drafted by the Royals. They gave him the extension. He's staying there. You never had a chance at him. Francisco Lindor was acquired by the Mets. They gave him the big extension, correct?
Yeah.
They weren't going to trade. They made him a center. You were never going to get Francisco Lindor. I mean, they tried, right? Maybe there's a conversation here and there when he was part of the Guardians. Not an option. Gunnar Henderson, drafted, developed by Baltimore. He's with Baltimore. Mookie Betts was traded for by the Dodgers. They gave him the big deal. You were never going to get him. By the way, I mean, he's kind of like half of a shortstop. He's more of a shortstop now than he was, but still. Ellie De La Cruz, drafted / signed by the Reds, not leaving Cincinnati, hasn't become a free agent yet. You can't get him. Trey Turner, could have had him, right? Twice. Traded him away the first time. Fine. Tried to sign him in the offseason, the same offseason you signed Xander Bogaerts. And you know what? Trey Turner declined. Cool. So you couldn't have him either. The only other guy is Dansby Swanson. And honestly, I'd probably still take Xander over Dansby Swanson. And it's the difference between a 3.3 on the WAR total, which divided over 3.5 years, right? It's like just above, like just around 1 extra WAR win above replacement than Xander. Geraldo Perdomo, Arizona Diamondback, didn't have a chance at him. Jeremy Pena was part of the Astros. The other one was Willy Adames. His numbers are a little different because by the time he became available, his numbers in San Francisco have not been the same since he left Tampa Bay. So that's your list. So again, like, I'm not saying Xander Bogaerts is one of your. I'm not saying he has been a great signing for the Padres, but he is valued relatively around what the going rate for his performance is, and that's about $25 to $26 million a year. And for everybody that goes like, well, if you didn't have his contract, you'd be able to do X, Y, Z. I'm not necessarily sure that's the case, Frank. And we went through that exercise last week. If you never have signed Xander Bogaerts, what would you be doing with the $25 million now? I mean, unless you're combining it to add with other players, like somebody said in the YouTube chat earlier about if you took his contract and added it with Cronenworth and you didn't have either of those guys on the team, then you would have been able to sign like a Tarek Skubal. Well, if you subtracted, Frank, let me ask you this. If you subtracted Xander Bogaerts and Jake Cronenworth from this team, added Tarek Skubal, where is this team right now? Is it different? I don't know how much better it is. You couldn't tell me it's better. And for everybody that like is part of the conversation of didn't want to have Xander Bogaerts on the team, I was against this signing when it happened, yada, 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 yada. You can't undo it now. And so what a terrible mistake would be, in my opinion, is knowing all of this information about the contract and then going, let's get half of it taken care of by trading the best closer in baseball away. That's where this entire conversation becomes very nonsensical. Because the only thing that was intriguing about this the only thing that really got anybody going on Mason Miller potentially getting traded away because the value back wasn't going to be there was, well, if they take Xander Bogaerts' contract, it's going to free stuff. It's not freeing anything up. You're not going to get anybody to pay for his entire contract. And I'm sorry, but for what he is bringing you, which again, it is what it is. But according to Fangraphs' value, based on as the overall player that Xander Bogaerts is, his going rate right now would be about $26 million a year based on what he has done. I would live with Xander Bogaerts making what he's making over getting half of it back and losing Mason Miller. Those are the options, and that's why I think it's nonsensical. You follow me on that?
Yep. I got you.
Do you agree with that?
I do agree with it, yes.
I agree with it too. I just like, say what you want about Xander Bogaerts.
It's your argument.
I mean, but that's the exercise you have to do. Let's put it this way. I would be more inclined to try to give up, to try to get rid of Manny's contract than Xander's. He's about to make way more money than Xander.
Manny gets a raise this offseason.
Yep, like Manny's contract's not going to age well eventually. Xander's is going to be like kind of there, and his last 3 years won't be very good, but he's around what he should be making. Because people go, we could get his type of production for way cheaper. Yeah, if you draft a guy and he's ready to come up. I mean, the next kind of wave of C.J. Abrams, I think eventually is going to, if it hasn't already, pass in terms of value. But if you look at 2023 on, which is Xander's first year in San Diego, and that was after they had traded C.J. Abrams to Washington. Over that time frame, Xander Bogaerts has more value over that course of 3.5 years than C.J. Abrams, according to Fangraphs, and that's because Xander's defense is a lot better than Abrams' defense, who, by the way, according to Fangraphs in terms of trade value for this year, has mentioned projects to be a second baseman in the future. Talking about C.J. Abrams. So in terms of like the players that you have and how you would have been able to fill shortstop, Xander Bogaerts has been arguably your best bet at shortstop if you wanted to move Fernando to the outfield, which they did. And I'm not necessarily sure, would this team be better if Fernando was at shortstop and Xander wasn't on the team? I'm not necessarily sure that would be the case. But again, then you start playing a lot of what ifs of who the outfield would be. So, as much as Xander Bogaerts has probably been a disappointment in terms of like when you signed him to what he is, he has, according to Fangraphs, played at about the level you would expect him to play at. And so his contract's not the albatross that I think everybody thinks it is. And unless you could give me an option of what you would replace his contract with for $25 million for the future, I think you're probably okay living with Xander Bogaerts' contract. If I had to pick between the contracts that that you would want to try to chip away at, Manny's going to get close to $40 million in the future. Xander stays at 25 the entire time. And with the way contracts are going, that's a very affordable contract in the long term. Is it going to be great his last 3 years? Probably not. Probably not. But you cannot, and this is the entire point of this conversation, you cannot give up production from Mason Miller and Xander Bogaerts, plus pay half of Xander's salary just to be relieved of half of Xander's remaining salary, which would be the case if the Padres decided to look in that direction. It would be nonsensical. It would be nonsensical. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we recap the World Cup for the last time with Frank Marchese. It's part of our last World Cup date for the next 4 years. We'll do that next. 118 on a Monday. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. Setting us over the Sports Station 97.3, The Fan. Let's get to today's lineup because I totally forgot about putting that out. Plus, I just wanted to play the sounder again. So, there's that. All right. Padres lineup today against the Atlanta Braves, going against Bryce Elder, who, by the way, has over a 9 ERA against the Padres in his career. Maybe that can lead to some more runs after they scored 19 yesterday. Okay. Fernando leads things off, plays right field. Jackson Merrill bats second, plays center field. Manny Machado playing third, batting third. Ty France plays first base. He will hit cleanup tonight. Gavin Sheets bats fifth. He plays left field. Xander Bogaerts batting sixth and is the DH. Jake Cronenworth bats seventh, plays second base. Freddie Fermin is the catcher today for JP Sears. He bats eighth. Sungmoon Song will play shortstop and bat ninth for your San Diego Padres. There you go. So they must have listened to I Need Money, who says he doesn't want to watch Bogaerts bat third. Well, he's not. He's batting sixth. Fair enough. Foul and I Need Money for unsubscribing to the channel.
He draws the foul.
Come on, man. It's too far, dude. It's too far. All right. That is the lineup. I did see this pop up today. Did you see this?
Have you heard about this? You read about this?
You going for this? We got tickets to give away as we go to break, by the way. Mike Petriello put this out. He goes, look at the top 7 position players from last year's Jays team. You could swap out Bichette for Okamoto pretty easily in terms of value, so ignore that for now. The remaining 6 are as follows. The difference between the Blue Jays being a World Series caliber team last year and probably not this year. They look bad this year. 2025, George Springer. This is all WAR, okay?
Mm-hmm.
George Springer last year had a 5.2 WAR. Do you know what his WAR is so far this year?
What is that?
0.
Okay.
Alejandro Kirk last year, 4.7 WAR. You know what his WAR is this year?
He was hurt for a lot of this year, though.
0.4. It doesn't matter. It's part of these are the guys that are part of your group that are expected to do well. Okay. Next one on the list. Vlad Guerrero Jr.'s WAR last year, 3.9. You know what his WAR is this year?
1.2.
1. Ernie Clement, 3.2 WAR last year. Do you know what his WAR is this year as an All-Star?
2.5.
1.3. Dalton Varsho, 2.2 WAR last year. His WAR this year?
0.6.
1. Addison Barger, 2.2 WAR last year. You know what his WAR is this year?
No.
0. That happens. Then what do the Padres?
See, this is what we talk about. Guys have their career best years all at the same time and then followed up with their career worst. It happens. That's baseball.
Here's last year and this year.
It's baseball, Susan.
Last year, Jake Cronenworth, 2.5. This year, he's hurt, so it's a little bit different. But Jake Cronenworth, it's like the Alejandro Kirk thing. Jake Cronenworth last year, 2.5. His WAR this year, negative 0.4. Xander Bogaerts last year, 2.1 WAR. This year, 1.3. That's a full season last year. I mean, Xander probably will pass that. Manny Machado last year, 4.2. You know what his WAR is this year?
3.7.
3.7. Is he hitting over 220? Did I not? 3.7. 0.3. Gavin Sheets, 0.8 last year.
0.3.
I don't know what his WAR is this year. I don't know how good it is. But they compared it to Ramon Laureano because he's gotten the most starts in left, where Gavin Sheets did last year. Laureano's 0. Obviously, he's been hurt. Doesn't help. Jackson Merrill, 2.8 last year. This year, 0.7.
Thank you.
Fernando Tatis Jr. last year. Do you know what he finished with?
No.
6.1 WAR last year. He had a great year last year. Did everybody? That's not like what the narrative sounds like. 6.1. I guarantee you, granted, it's probably like defense, but 6.1 last year. You know what it is this year?
1.4.
1.4.
Oh, wow.
Blind squirrel, Frank. Blind squirrel. It just goes to show that just because this happens to a lot of teams, right? It's just it's happened a lot for teams around Major League Baseball. So I'm not surprised by that. It's a different. I mean, sometimes that's the big difference between being a playoff team and not being a playoff team. And you know what these teams can't do? Just all of a sudden, just go up. They all suck now. Let's get rid of everybody. Doesn't work like that. All right. Are they going to do that with Argentina? One shot on goal. One shot. Time to cut everybody. They suck now. Let's do our last World Cup date of the next 4 years.
You got one good game this weekend, or one insane game this weekend, and that would have been the third place game, the bronze medal game. England beating France 6-4 in this game. Kylian Mbappe scores 2. Saka scores hat trick. I mean, it was just crazy from the opening minutes. Declan Rice scoring in the 3rd minute. Konsa for England scoring in the 18th minute. Saka scores 2 in the first. Scores a brace in the first half. About 9 minutes apart in the 37th and 45th. Plus 1. Jude Bellingham tacks on 1 late. Then Dembele tacks on 1 late. It was scoring insane on Saturday afternoon. England again beating France. They finished 3rd. France comes home in 4th. World Cup final. Spain versus Argentina. It was very, very clear all throughout the match who should have won the game. And it turned out to be the case. Ferran Torres scoring in the 106th minute within the first 39 seconds of the second half of extra time to give Spain a lead it rightfully deserved over Argentina. Enzo Fernandez getting a red card in the 90th minute plus 3 on a ridiculously hard tackle of a Spanish midfielder. And then a huge schmoz at the end of the game that was triggered by Argentina. Leandro Paredes getting a red card after the match had already ended. So that will impact Argentina later on. We're waiting to see if anything further will happen. But Spain lifting its 2nd World Cup trophy, its 2nd in the last 16 years, last 4 World Cups. They won it back in 2010. They win in extra time. The parade through Madrid has been unbelievable to see throughout the course of the day. And alas, until 2030, we have to wait for this wonderful tournament to come back.
Let me ask you this, because I saw this starting to populate. Once Argentina went down to 10 players, should Argentina have kept in 38-year-old Messi in that particular instance, or would it have been better to go with somebody younger since they were down a man? I've seen both sides of the aisle on this one. What do you think?
Lionel Messi's your best scoring threat, whether with the ball or without it. Why would you take him off the field?
He entered the final, age 39, 8 goals in the tournament, 2 assists, tournament hero. But statistically, he ran the least of any player, walked for long stretches, contributed minimally defensively.
Argentina was never attacking. That's why.
Hey, man, he's got a hustle like Manny, right?
Argentina had 20 shots before Spain had 20 shots before Argentina had 1.
12 on target. Get some more youth, get some speed out there.
There was nothing that Argentina could have done. Spain was clearly the better team yesterday. They've been the better team this entire World Cup, which is why we said that whoever won between Spain and France was going to win this World Cup. That semifinal matchup, the first semifinal matchup, was the final.
Scaloni said, the head coach of Argentina said, Messi is the best football player ever. Why would I take him out?
100%. Exactly.
Mark Ziegler disagrees with this, by the way. He wrote an article about it today about how
that's cool.
This was emotion over coaching. I don't necessarily know it would have changed anything.
It wouldn't have.
Right? Like, As Fridge Watcher said in the YouTube chat, if only Messi ran that 90 feet hard, maybe they would have won.
Exactly. You have Lionel Messi. You have the greatest player in the world. Why? Why would you? Makes no sense. Makes no coaching sense. You have the best player in the world. He's your leader as far as attack creation and goal scoring prowess. Why would you take him out?
Have you seen anything more impressive than what Spain did this entire tournament? Just in terms of the clean sheets every single time.
One goal allowed. It's absolutely incredible. They were the most complete team throughout the tournament. And again, we said it when we talked about Argentina. They've had multiple scares. They shouldn't have beaten Egypt to even get to the semifinal. And to make it into the World Cup final, I mean, that was for Spain. They were the better team all tournament. They were fantastic. And Juan in the chat says it perfectly. Emi Martinez is the only reason why that match was not a complete embarrassment. Spain should have scored at least 5 or 6 goals yesterday.
Argentina, 0 goals, 2 total shots, 0 shots on target. Messi had 37 touches, lowest work rate. I guess that's calculated. Mm-hmm. Played extra time with 10 men. Spain, 1 goal, 20 shots, 12 on target. Torres had the winning goal, allowed virtually nothing defensively. That was the entire tournament for Spain.
Yeah, they only allowed 1 goal all tournament.
And he thought maybe Argentina would continue with their controversial comebacks, but their luck ran out.
Yeah.
Spain completely shut them down the entire match, but that was it for the World Cup. What was your biggest takeaway from the World Cup?
It was absolutely phenomenal. This was by far and away the best World Cup, and I being a fan to soccer late, this is by far and away the best World Cup that I've ever seen. It was entertainment, stunning matches from start to finish. There were very few stinkers going either way, whether it be too many goals or not enough goal or just 0-0 draws. There were a couple of those. But this World Cup brought all of the entertainment, all of the drama that you could have possibly asked for from the group stage all the way to the finale. It was absolutely phenomenal. And I am going to, for sure, be locked in on the Euros coming up, the CONCACAF tournament coming up, and the World Cup coming up in 2030, for sure.
And now the big question, is Italy going to make the World Cup in 2030?
If they get who they think they want, if they get who they're reported to be getting as their manager, they might win the whole thing.
Just the manager's going to change that.
If they have Pep Guardiola for 4 years leading into a World Cup, that is massive. That would be massive for them.
We haven't made it in the last 3.
Shut up.
The United States powers to be have announced that they want to bid for the next one they're eligible to bid for. So maybe they'll bring it back.
Good for them. I mean, I think it would be in Europe for a little while after that. Which,
I mean, again, you know how FIFA works. Whoever pays the bigs.
Exactly.
I mean, you can just buy it at this point.
I will say this was me just weird about it, and I know why, because you're going for fans in Europe. Having a World Cup final during the afternoon just felt wrong.
Yeah,
that felt really, really wrong. Like the first half, it just felt like another game. That's the World Cup final. I don't care unless it's. I mean, unless you're playing in China and both of the teams are in the U.S. and then the teams in the U.S. is in it, or some European squad, you have to have that. Has to be a night game.
That would be at what, like 3 or 4 in the morning over there?
No, I know, but still, that's why they did it. But the World Cup, it has to be. It feels like it has to be a night game.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I like yesterday. I was we went and walked around. Took the tram, the Palm Springs tram to Mount San Jacinto, and right before we were about to take the tram down, my friend was she was going to the bathroom, and I was waiting for outside, and they had the game on. I was like, "What are they? Oh yeah, the World Cup finals on." It seems so weird that it was on at
in
like
the middle
1
of the
o'clock.
day.
All right, yeah, like it was on.
You understand, like the UEFA Champions League final is always on at noon, but that's because it's in Europe.
Correct.
It's a night game in Europe. It's a 8-hour time difference between here and there. So you understand why it's on the afternoon here, but the World Cup final's got to be a night game. I'm sorry.
As we go to break, we have tickets to give away. If you are give me a number between 1 and 7.
I'll go 6.
6. All right, cool. If you're the sixth caller, you'll win a pair of tickets to Hudson Westbrook at Front Wave Arena on October 3rd. Tickets are on sale now at AXS.com. Sixth caller, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Sixth caller, you win a pair of tickets to Hudson Westbrook at Front Wave Arena on October 3rd. Tickets are on sale now at AXS.com. We will announce the winner when we come back. We'll get you a preview of Padres and Braves to finish up the show. Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Room Sports Station 97 through the Fan. 1:40 on a Monday. Final segment of the Braden Surprenant Show. Live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Was that your microphone? What are you doing over there?
I pressed the wrong button, turned the mic on instead of turning the PPM button on.
Why was it like...
Because the fan's right there.
Picking up the fan noise.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. Cool everybody down on a hot day.
Yeah.
We're going to try to cool you down through the radio by putting the microphone next to the fan.
As we do.
At the fan.
We're helpful here. We do be thinking of many different ways to help you guys relax.
Who was our winner of the tickets?
Chris Baumgartner in San Diego.
Congratulations. Have a fun time at Hudson Westbrook at Front Wave Arena, October 3rd. It's July 20th? Sometimes we give away
Today
tickets so far
20th,
far in advance. It's all right. No, you don't want to recognize Arsenal for all the success that they have had in the World Cup?
That's cool.
They had like the biggest impact.
Okay.
Nothing. Can't do it. Can't do it. Juan wanted you to do it so bad in the YouTube chat.
I know.
It's rude. You couldn't do it once? I mean, we're done with the World Cup dates now. You don't have to mention it anymore.
No.
Still can't.
Well, you're right. I don't have to mention it. So there you go.
So you don't have to mention it anymore. You never mentioned it the first time. 833-288-973. 833-288-973. All right. We talked about at the beginning part of the show, like yesterday was great, right? Padres won 19-2. Got to see him back on the right track. That's good news. We like that. We like hearing that. But as far as everything goes, right? That only works if you can turn today into a win, right? If you could turn the next couple of days into a win. Mm-hmm. Because this team has been so up and down for so long that it's hard to really get excited about the 19-2 victory unless you capitalize on tonight and you start turning it into a little bit of a winning streak, in which the Padres really need to make things a lot better for not only the trade deadline, but the second half of the season. And they have already gotten off to a rough start, losing 2 out of 3 to the worst team in Major League Baseball. Second to worst team in Major League Baseball, because after they beat the Padres twice and the Angels being awful, they have now passed the Angels and are no longer the worst team in Major League Baseball. So this is a big series for the Padres against Atlanta. And as we've talked about before with the standings, the Padres can use this to do themselves some serious favors by beating up on Atlanta to help themselves, but also could potentially lead to the Phillies catching Atlanta, which then would negate, for all intents and purposes, the needing to have a tiebreaker with Philly. Because at that point, you would have the tiebreaker of Atlanta. You got to win one in Atlanta to at least get that. So if you won a couple of games, obviously it would work in your favor. And if that's the case, then instead of Philly, you're competing for a wild card spot you're competing with Atlanta, and you would have the half game on them with the tiebreaker. So it's very important from that perspective, this series. Also with the sense of like trying to gain more games in the standings. The Padres managed to gain a game in the standings over the weekend because the Marlins have lost 6 straight. The Cardinals lost 2 out of 3. Washington and Arizona and Pittsburgh are still just kind of puttering around. It's right there in front of the Padres that if they went on a winning streak, which they desperately need, they would put themselves in a really good position right now because nobody is really doing that. And then at that point, the only team that would kind of be in your way would be the Chicago Cubs, who might have that top wild card spot yet again. And you could see yourself back in Chicago for a playoff series, Frank. Hopefully being better this time than you were last time.
Yeah, hopefully.
But that's a lot of what ifs, and you got to make it to the trade deadline, and you have to do well in these 4 games, and you have to do well in Miami. It's all right in front of them. These are arguably 2 teams that you might be competing for a wild card spot with, and that's what makes this week even more important. than it already is. I mean, say what you want about playing the Royals. It would have been nice to get some extra wins, but you gained a game in the standings, which is kind of your goal this weekend. And American League games don't count as much as the National League games do, because you get the tiebreaker enforcers and you're battling with these teams in the standings where you'll never see the Royals ever again. And nor does it matter. Right? So that is terrifying. I don't know why I looked up at that time. They're getting preview for the Nick Martinez, Dylan Cease, 2 former Padres doing it out today, Blue Jays and Rays. And they got like what is that going at the Rogers Center, the giant Space Needle they got?
Yeah.
They got people that are like just on the side of it for like
towers.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
People do some crazy things on the side of that tower. They're like it's something that you can sign up for where you like are attached to it by a rope and you can like just sit there and clap. It's oh my God. Can't do that. Squirrel. Can't do it. I just any of the height stuff, not for me. All right, let's talk about the series against Atlanta. Padres head to Atlanta for 4 games. It feels like probably one of their bigger series of the season, if not the biggest series as of this point. They salvaged the finale in Kansas City, as we mentioned, with 19 runs on Sunday. They're still 49-50, 2.5 games out of a wild card spot. Atlanta, meanwhile, 57-41. They lead the NL East by 3 games over Philadelphia and own one of the National League's best records. The Padres, they go 3-0 against Atlanta here at Petco Park. And they'll try to do it now in a much tougher environment where Atlanta is 29-19 this season. Padres have done very well against the Braves in the past, including in Atlanta. So we'll see if that continues. But on paper, Atlanta has been one of the baseball's most complete teams. 3rd in Major League Baseball in run differential, 9th in OPS, 9th in rotation ERA, 3rd in bullpen ERA, which compared to the Padres, 21st in run differential, 29th in OPS, 27th in rotation ERA, and 6th in bullpen ERA. The numbers obviously explain why Atlanta has been comfortably leading their division, while San Diego has spent most of the summer trying to climb back into the playoff picture. But the Padres offense has started to show signs. Of course, you saw the 19-run explosion yesterday. Is that the beginning of something, or is that just one great day? So far this season, we've seen a lot of just one great days, Frank.
Yeah, we've certainly seen more one-day one-offs than we have seen that over a consistent amount of time. But if you want to talk about when this could turn around for them, there's a very good chance with the way the Padres have had the Braves number over the course of the last couple of years. This could be the start. This could kick it off to where it does become a more consistent thing. And again, if that does happen, that Kansas City series will become more of a footnote than a focal point.
Up until this point, it's all been one great day.
Yeah.
And until they start winning, it's just like, hey, that was fun. They had a great day, but they got to be able to win today. Ty France has been one of the best hitters for the Padres and hottest hitter. He's got a 10-10 OPS and 4 home runs in July. Manny has had a 841 OPS and 3 homers in July. Fernando, 808 OPS in July. Jackson Merrill has hit 4 home runs this month. Concern remains at the bottom of the order. Xander Bogaerts has not done well this month. Gavin Sheets has struggled mightily in July, which puts more pressure on Machado, Tatis, and France to help carry his offense. But I also say, like, Miguel Andujar has done a good job at the bottom of the order.
Yes.
They have had some guys at the bottom of the order do very well. Luis Campusano, who is battling through some injuries. So hopefully that lineup stays hot and stays lengthened, as we saw yesterday. The Atlanta lineup is very dangerous. Matt Olson continues to be one of the National League's deepest offenses. In July, Matt Olson, 6 home runs. Michael Harris has 14 RBIs in July. Drake Baldwin, one of the all-stars for Atlanta, 1050 OPS. Even more impressive, only one regular hitter owns a July OPS below 700 for Atlanta, which is a remarkable lineup consistency compared to what San Diego has dealt with for most of the year. Let's talk about tonight's pitching matchup before we get our bold predictions for the night. JP Sears, Bryce Elder. JP Sears actually already beat Atlanta this year. And this could be one of the better chances for the Padres to get a victory in terms of pitching matchup, because today is Sears and Elder. JP Sears beat Atlanta Earlier this season, he allowed just 2 runs over 5 2/3 innings. Be nice to see him do that again. Bryce Elder, meanwhile, has been struggling badly. He has a 4-something ERA this season. He has had an 11 ERA over his last 4 starts. He has allowed 8 home runs during that time and has a 9.82 ERA in 2 career starts against the Padres. If the Padres are going to take a game early in this series, it is game 1. This matchup definitely gives them the opportunity tonight, as much as a lot of people aren't excited to watch JP Sears pitch tonight. He has already beaten Atlanta once. Hopefully he could do it again. And the Padres offense has done well against Elder. I will say this, though, Frank, as we mentioned before, if the Padres struggle to score against Elder after what they did yesterday, I don't know if they're ever going to be able to go on a run, to be honest.
I don't.
You're running out of time. There's 63 games left.
For sure. That's a very unfortunate. That would be a very unfortunate position to be in, for sure. If you cannot capitalize on a guy who you have historically beaten to a pulp, that does not speak well for the rest of the outlook of the season.
Walker Buehler pitches tomorrow against Ronaldo Lopez. Wednesday is Michael King versus TBA, who beat the Padres over the weekend, TBA. And then Thursday is Griffin Canning and Chris Sale. I mean, you almost can chalk that one up as an L. So if you're going to win some games, it better be the first couple here for the Padres. I don't even know it's that bold. I almost guarantee they lose on Thursday. It's almost a guarantee. What's your bold prediction?
2 extra base hits for Fernando. He keeps it hot.
He keeps it hot. I agree with that. I think the Padres put up 6 runs tonight. I think they keep the bats hot as we stay positively optimistic. We don't have too much time, but let's get to Martin and Santee. Martin, what's going on, man?
Gentlemen, great World Cup coverage, Frank, and you too, Braden. Just a quick thought. Ty France, I'm thinking, I'd like your opinion. Should we extend him? I mean, he's really kind of a lifeblood and seems to thrive here in San Diego, not like other players that we've brought in on minimal contracts. So just kind of wanted your thoughts on Ty France and rather than consider him as trade bait, just to extend him and keep him around for a few more years. So anyway, great show as always.
I appreciate it, Martin. Maybe more of a topic for tomorrow. They've handed out so many contracts. It's like, you can't always hand out contracts to guys that have done well here. We've seen these guys, leave. Gary Sanchez, Kyle Higashioka. I mean, we've seen a lot of these like more fan favorites, if you will, have good years and then move on. Sometimes I think you got to say thanks for the memories. I don't necessarily know if Ty France has done enough this year to say that he's consistently going to be able to put up those numbers for 2 or 3 more years. Maybe you give him a 2-year deal if you need people. I mean, I think
2 years 8, 2 years 6,
right?
Maybe.
I mean, you got him on a minor league contract. You've kind of hit on some of those. I don't necessarily know if you want to over. It works out right now because he's not getting a lot of money. I don't know if it's going to continue. It's a difficult conversation. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. Thanks again for tuning into the Braden Surprenant Show. We will join you guys again tomorrow from 10 to 2. Hopefully talk about a Padres victory. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ella, Matt Scraby up next with Glenn and Chris on San Diego Sports Station 97.3 The Fan.